Nathan Reed didn't know the woman dying in the rain was worth $3 billion. He didn't know she'd just survived an assassination attempt. And he sure as hell didn't know that stopping his truck on that frozen highway would drag him into a nightmare that would either destroy his life or save it forever. All he knew was that if he kept driving, she would die. And if he stopped, the men hunting her would find him too. But Nathan had never been good at walking away from people who needed help. Even when it killed him. Even when it cost him everything. Like this video and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The storm hit just after midnight, turning the highway into black ice and wind that screamed through the trees like something alive. Nathan Reed gripped the steering wheel with both hands, his knuckles white, his body vibrating with exhaustion that went bone deep. He'd worked a double shift at the construction site because the crew boss needed someone to finish the foundation pour before the freeze set in. 16 hours of hauling rebar and mixing concrete in freezing rain. His back was on fire. His hands were shaking, and he still had 20 miles to go before he got home to Lily, 8 years old, waiting for him in Mrs. Chen's apartment across the hall because Nathan couldn't afford a real babysitter anymore. He blinked hard, forcing his eyes to stay open. The wiper scraped uselessly across the windshield, smearing ice and rain into a blur. His phone buzzed in the cup holder. He ignored it. Probably another debt collector. They'd been calling non-stop for 3 weeks now, ever since the legal fees started piling up. Nathan owed everyone. The landlord, the lawyer, the hospital from when Lily got pneumonia last winter. And soon, if the trial went the way his public defender expected, he'd owe the state 20 years in a federal prison for fraud he didn't commit. Nathan's jaw tightened. He didn't want to think about the trial. Didn't want to think about the men in expensive suits who'd shown up at his apartment 6 months ago with a warrant and a smirk, telling him they had proof he'd stolen $2 million from accounts he'd never even heard of. Didn't want to think about Lily's face when the cops cuffed him in the hallway while she stood there in her pajamas, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. He told her it was a mistake. Told her daddy didn't do anything wrong. But mistakes didn't matter when rich people wanted you gone. The road curved sharply ahead, hugging the edge of a steep hillside that dropped into nothing but darkness and frozen trees. Nathan eased off the gas, his truck shuddering as the wind slammed into the side. He should have taken the long route, should have stayed on the main highway where the plows had been through. But gas cost money, and every mile mattered when you were counting pennies just to keep the lights on. That's when he saw it. A vehicle. Dark and massive, sitting crooked on the shoulder near the cliff edge. Hazard lights blinking weakly through the rain. A luxury SUV, the kind that cost more than Nathan would make in 5 years. And beside it, a figure. Nathan's foot hit the brake instinctively. The truck skidded slightly before the tires caught. He squinted through the windshield, wipers clearing the glass for half a second before the rain swallowed everything again. The figure was a woman, standing in the storm like she didn't know where she was. No coat, no umbrella, just dark clothing plastered to her body, her hair whipping around her face in the wind. Nathan's first thought was, drunk. His second thought was, not my problem. He had 20 minutes before Mrs. Chen would start calling. Worried. He had to get home. Had to check on Lily. Had to make sure she ate dinner and finished her homework and got to bed on time because if he didn't, Child Protective Services would add it to the list of reasons Nathan Reed wasn't fit to be a father. He started to press the gas. Then the woman collapsed. Shit. Nathan slammed the truck into park and shoved the door open. The wind hit him like a fist, cold and vicious, stealing the breath from his lungs. He stumbled forward, boots sliding on the icy asphalt, his body screaming in protest after 16 hours of labor. The rain soaked through his jacket in seconds. The woman was on her knees now, one hand braced against the side of the SUV, her head hanging low. Nathan could see blood on her temple, dark and wet, running down the side of her face. "Hey!" Nathan shouted over the storm. "You okay?" She didn't answer. He reached her and dropped to one knee, his hand hovering near her shoulder, but not touching. "You didn't touch strangers. Not unless you wanted trouble." "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Her head lifted slowly. Her eyes found his. Even in the darkness, even through the rain and the blood and the shock, Nathan could tell she was beautiful. Not magazine beautiful. Not the fake kind you saw on billboards. Real beautiful. The kind that made you forget how to talk for half a second. And terrified. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Nathan glanced at the SUV. The driver's side door was open. The interior light was on. He could see shattered glass on the seat. A spiderweb crack across the windshield, no other passengers. "What happened?" Nathan asked. "You crash?" She shook her head weakly. Her hand came up, trembling, and pointed back down the highway. East. The direction Nathan had come from. "Someone following me." Nathan's stomach dropped. He looked over his shoulder, scanning the empty road. Nothing but rain and darkness and the distant glow of the city 20 miles behind them. "Who's following you?" "They tried to—" Her voice cracked. "They tried to kill me." Nathan's first instinct was to call the cops. His second instinct was to get the hell out of there before whoever was chasing her showed up. But then her eyes rolled back, and her body started to sway, and Nathan grabbed her before she hit the pavement. She was freezing. Her skin was ice under his hands. Hypothermia, maybe. Shock, definitely. "Okay," Nathan muttered, more to himself than to her. "Okay, come on. Mole?" "Mats." He hooked one arm under her shoulders and hauled her to her feet. She was taller than he expected. Lean and strong, even half-conscious. She leaned into him, her weight pressing against his chest, and Nathan half-dragged, half-carried her back to his truck. He got the passenger door open and shoved her inside. She collapsed against the seat, her head lolling to the side. Nathan slammed the door and ran around to the driver's side, his heart hammering now, adrenaline cutting through the exhaustion. He threw the truck into gear and pulled back onto the highway, his eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every 3 seconds. No headlights, no movement, just the storm and the empty road. The woman stirred beside him, her hand reaching out blindly until it found the edge of the seat. She gripped it hard, her breathing shallow and uneven. "Where are we going?" she whispered. Nathan didn't answer, because the truth was, he didn't know. He couldn't take her to a hospital. Hospitals meant cops, and cops meant questions Nathan couldn't afford to answer. Not when he was 2 weeks away from standing trial for a crime that could put him in prison for the rest of his life. And he couldn't take her to a police station for the same reason, which left one option, his apartment. Nathan's grip tightened on the wheel. This was a mistake, a massive, stupid mistake. But leaving her on the side of the road wasn't an option either. So he drove. 20 minutes later, Nathan pulled into the crumbling parking lot of the Riverside Apartments, a sagging 4-story building on the edge of the industrial district where rent was cheap and nobody asked questions. He killed the engine and sat there for a moment, staring at the peeling paint and broken streetlights, wondering what the hell he'd just done. The woman beside him was asleep, or unconscious. Nathan wasn't sure which. He got out, walked around to her side, and pulled the door open. She didn't wake up. He scooped her into his arms, lighter than he expected, and carried her across the parking lot, up the concrete stairs, past the busted elevator, and down the narrow hallway to apartment 3C. Mrs. Chen's door opened before he even reached his own. "Nathan?" The old woman poked her head out, her eyes narrowing behind thick glasses. "What on earth?" "Emergency," Nathan said quickly. "I'll explain later." "Is Lily asleep?" Mrs. Chen's gaze dropped to the unconscious woman in Nathan's arms. Her expression shifted from concern to deep suspicion. "She's asleep." "Nathan, what is this?" "Later," Nathan repeated. He fumbled with his keys, got the door open, and kicked it shut behind him before Mrs. Chen could ask more questions. Inside, the apartment was exactly what it looked like. Small, cramped, and barely holding together. A sagging couch. A kitchen table with mismatched chairs, Lily's drawings taped to the fridge. A space heater rattling in the corner because the building's heat hadn't worked in 3 weeks. Nathan carried the woman to the couch and laid her down as gently as he could. She groaned softly but didn't wake. He grabbed a blanket from the closet and draped it over her, then stood there for a moment staring down at her, wondering who the hell she was and why someone wanted her dead. And more importantly, whether bringing her here had just signed his own death warrant. Nathan didn't sleep. He sat in the kitchen with a cup of cold coffee, his phone on the table in front of him, staring at the woman on his couch like she might disappear if he blinked. She hadn't moved in 2 hours. Her breathing was steady now, her face pale but peaceful. The blood on her temple had dried into a dark smear. He should have cleaned it, should have checked for injuries. But Nathan wasn't a doctor, and he didn't know what to do with a stranger who claimed someone tried to kill her. His phone buzzed. Another voicemail from his lawyer. Nathan deleted it without listening. The woman stirred, her eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then sharp and alert in the space of a heartbeat. She sat up fast, the blanket falling away, her hand going to her side like she was reaching for something that wasn't there. "Easy," Nathan said from the kitchen. "You're safe." Her head snapped toward him, her eyes locked onto his, wide and wary, like a trapped animal deciding whether to fight or run. "Where am I?" "My apartment. You collapsed on the highway. I brought you here." She looked around, taking in the cramped space, the peeling wallpaper, the toys scattered on the floor near the couch. Her expression didn't change. "Why?" Nathan blinked. "Why what? Why did you help me?" It was such a strange question that Nathan didn't know how to answer it. He set his coffee down and leaned back in his chair. "Because you needed help." She stared at him for a long moment, like she was trying to decide if he was lying. Then she stood, swaying slightly, one hand bracing against the armrest. Nathan rose instinctively, ready to catch her if she fell again. "I need to leave," she said. "You can barely stand." "I don't care, I can't stay here." "Why not?" Her jaw tightened. "Because the people who tried to kill me won't stop. And if they find me here, they'll kill you too." Nathan crossed his arms. "Who are you?" She hesitated. For a moment, Nathan thought she wasn't going to answer. Then she straightened, lifting her chin, and something in her posture shifted. The exhaustion was still there. The fear was still there. But underneath it, Nathan saw something else. Power. "My name is Selena Vaughn." The name hit Nathan like a freight train. Selena Vaughn. Everyone in the city knew that name, the tech billionaire, the woman who built a software empire before she turned 30. The face on magazine covers and business headlines. The cold, untouchable genius who controlled half the technology infrastructure in the state. Nathan's mouth went dry. You're Selena Vaughn." "Yes." "The Selena Vaughn." "Yes." Nathan sat back down. His brain was spinning, trying to process what he was looking at. A billionaire. In his apartment. On his couch. Covered in his blanket. "What the hell are you doing out here?" Nathan asked. "Why were you alone on the highway in the middle of a storm?" Selena's expression darkened. She wrapped her arms around herself, and for the first time since she'd woken up, Nathan saw the cracks in her armor. "I was running," she said quietly. "From people inside my own company, people I trusted." "Why?" "Because I found out they've been stealing from me, laundering money through fake accounts, using my company to cover illegal deals." Her voice was tight, controlled, but Nathan could hear the anger underneath. "And when I tried to confront them, they sent someone to kill me." Nathan's heart sank, because he knew exactly which accounts she was talking about. He'd seen them 6 months ago, before everything went to hell. "Fake accounts," Nathan said slowly. "Like offshore accounts? Shell companies?" Selena's eyes narrowed. "How do you know that?" Nathan stood and walked to the kitchen counter. He opened a drawer, pulled out a crumpled envelope, and tossed it onto the table between them. "Because I'm the guy they framed for it." Selena picked up the envelope. Inside was a legal notice, a warrant, a list of charges that read like a nightmare. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Nathan Reed, defendant. Selena's face went pale. You're the one they... "Yeah." Nathan's voice was flat. "I used to work IT for a contractor that serviced your corporate offices. 6 months ago, I was doing routine server maintenance and found files that didn't match the company directories. Offshore accounts, dummy corporations, millions of dollars moving through systems that shouldn't exist." He laughed bitterly. "I reported it to my supervisor. 2 weeks later, the FBI showed up at my door and told me I'd been stealing from your company. They had emails with my name on them, bank transfers, documents I'd never seen before, and a dozen lawyers ready to bury me." Selena stared at him, her expression unreadable. "You reported it," she said quietly, "and they destroyed you." "Yeah. And now you're going to prison, unless I can prove I didn't do it, which I can't, because the people who framed me are the same people who just tried to kill you." Selena set the envelope down carefully. Her hands were shaking. "Nathan," she said, "if what you're telling me is true, then you didn't just find evidence. You found proof of a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top of my company, and the people running it won't stop until you're dead or locked away forever. Nathan laughed again, but there was no humor in it. Yeah, I figured that part out. Yo, in the water. Selena looked at him for a long moment. Then she straightened, and Nathan saw that shift again. The exhaustion was still there. The fear was still there. But underneath it, something else was rising. Fury. They framed you, Selena said quietly. They used my company to destroy your life. And then they tried to kill me to cover it up. Yeah. Do you have any idea what they're planning next? Nathan shook his head. No. I've been too busy trying not to lose custody of my daughter. Selena froze. You have a daughter? Yeah, Lily. She's 8. She's asleep in the other room. For the first time since she'd woken up, Selena's expression softened. She glanced toward the closed door at the end of the hallway, and something in her eyes changed. You have a daughter, she repeated, and you're raising her alone while you're being framed for fraud. Yeah. And you still stopped to help a stranger in the middle of a storm. Oh, Nathan shrugged. What else was I supposed to do? Selena didn't answer. She just stared at him, and Nathan couldn't read the expression on her face. Then she stepped forward, closing the distance between them, and looked him straight in the eye. Nathan Reed, she said quietly, I'm going to destroy the people who did this to you. And when I'm done, they're going to wish they'd never heard your name. Nathan blinked. What? You saved my life tonight, so I'm going to save yours. You can't. Yes, I can. Her voice was ice. I built that company from nothing. I know every system, every account, every back door, and I know exactly where they're hiding the evidence. She leaned closer, and Nathan could see the fire in her eyes. But I need your help. Because if we're going to take them down, I need someone who knows how they framed you. Someone who can help me prove what they did. Nathan stared at her. His brain was still trying to catch up. You want me to help you fight billionaires? Yes. While I'm 2 weeks away from trial? Yes. And you think we can win? Selena smiled, cold and sharp as a knife. Nathan, I didn't build a $3 billion empire by losing. The next morning, Lily woke up to find a stranger at the kitchen table. She stood in the doorway in her pajamas, her hair sticking up in every direction, her eyes wide and curious. Selena was sitting across from Nathan, both of them hunched over Nathan's laptop, their voices low and urgent. Daddy? Nathan's head snapped up. Hey, sweetheart. You're up early. Lily walked into the kitchen, her bare feet padding on the cold linoleum. She stopped a few feet from Selena and tilted her head, studying her like she was a puzzle. Who are you? Selena turned, and Nathan saw her entire demeanor shift. The cold, calculating billionaire was gone. In her place was someone softer, someone uncertain. I'm Selena, she said carefully. I'm a friend of your dad's. Lily's eyes narrowed. Daddy doesn't have friends. Nathan winced. Lily. It's true, Lily said matter-of-factly. You work all the time. You never see anyone. Selena's lips twitched, like she was trying not to smile. Your dad helped me last night. I got stuck in the storm, and he brought me here. Lily considered this. Then she walked over to Selena and stared up at her with the unfiltered curiosity of an 8-year-old. Are you rich? Lily? Nathan started, but Selena held up a hand. Yes, Selena said. I am. How rich? Very. Like, buy a castle rich? Selena smiled. I could, but I don't want a castle. Why not? Because castles are cold and lonely. Lily thought about this for a moment. Then she climbed into the chair next to Selena and propped her chin on her hands. Do you have kids? No. Why not? I never had time. That's sad. Selena's smile faltered. Yeah, it is. Lily reached out and patted Selena's hand, the way Mrs. Chen patted Nathan's hand when he looked tired. It's okay, Lily said. You can hang out with us. Nathan's chest tightened. He watched Selena's expression crack, just for a second, before she pulled herself back together. Thank you, Selena said quietly. Lily beamed. Then she hopped off the chair and looked at Nathan. Can I have pancakes? Yeah, baby. Go get dressed. I'll make them in a minute. Lily ran off, and Nathan was left sitting across from a billionaire who looked like she was about to cry. Selena stopped, cleared her throat. She's wonderful. Yeah, Nathan said. She is. Selena looked down at her hands. I've spent the last 10 years building an empire, and I've never had anyone look at me the way she just did. How's that? Like I matter. Not because of what I own, just because I'm here. Nathan didn't know what to say to that, so he just stood and walked to the stove. Pancakes? He offered. Selena laughed, and it sounded like something breaking. Yeah, pancakes. And for the first time in years, Selena Vaughn sat in a cramped apartment on the wrong side of the city and felt something she hadn't felt since she was a kid. Safe. The pancakes burned. Nathan stood at the stove, spatula in hand, staring at the blackened circles smoking in the pan while Lily laughed so hard she fell off her chair. Selena sat at the table with her hands wrapped around a chipped coffee mug, watching the chaos unfold with something that might have been amusement if she remembered how to smile properly. Daddy, you killed them, Lily gasped between giggles. They're dead. They're not dead, Nathan muttered, scraping the ruined pancakes into the trash. They're just crispy. They're black. Crispy black. Selena set her mug down carefully. When's the last time you slept? Nathan didn't answer. He poured more batter into the pan, his hands moving on autopilot. The truth was, he couldn't remember. 2 days? 3? Time blurred together when you worked double shifts and spent your nights staring at legal documents you couldn't afford to understand. Nathan, Selena said again, quieter this time, you need to rest. I need to feed my kid. No. Nathan's voice came out sharper than he meant it to. He took a breath. I got it. Selena went quiet. Lily climbed back into her chair, her laughter fading as she looked between her father and the stranger at their table. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, tighter, like the walls were closing in. Nathan flipped the pancakes. These ones didn't burn. He stacked them on a plate, added syrup from a bottle that was almost empty, and set it in front of Lily. Eat, he said. Then brush your teeth. Mrs. Chen's taking you to school. Lily picked up her fork but didn't eat. Are you going to work? Yeah. But you just got home. I know, baby. You're tired. I'm fine. Lily's face scrunched up, and Nathan saw the worry there, the fear that lived in the back of her eyes ever since the cops had dragged him out of the apartment in handcuffs. She was 8 years old, and she'd already learned that nothing in their life was permanent. Not safety, not food, not even her father. Nathan crouched down next to her chair and brushed a strand of hair out of her face. Hey, he said softly. I'm okay. I promise. You always say that. Because it's always true. And Lily looked at him for a long moment. Then she wrapped her arms around his neck and squeezed so tight Nathan's chest ached. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart. When Lily finally let go and started eating, Nathan stood and found Selena watching him with an expression he couldn't read. She looked away quickly, picking up her mug again like she hadn't been staring. Nathan grabbed his jacket from the back of the chair. I have to go. You should be safe here for a few hours, but don't leave the apartment. Don't open the door for anyone. And if something feels wrong, I know how to handle myself, Selena said. Yeah, well, you didn't handle it so great last night. Her jaw tightened. I wasn't expecting people I trusted to try and kill me. Nathan zipped his jacket. Welcome to the club. He kissed Lily on the top of her head, grabbed his keys, and headed for the door. He was halfway into the hallway when Selena's voice stopped him. Nathan. He turned. She was standing now, her arms crossed, her posture stiff and defensive, but her eyes were different, softer, almost uncertain. Thank you, she said. For last night, for this morning, for... She gestured vaguely at the apartment, at Lily, at the burned pancakes and the chipped mugs and the life Nathan had built from nothing. For all of it. Nathan shrugged. Don't thank me yet. You're still stuck in a crappy apartment with a guy who's about to go to prison. You're not going to prison. You don't know that. Selena's expression hardened. Yes, I do. Because I'm going to make sure of it. Yo, Nathan wanted to believe her, wanted to believe that someone with money and power could actually fix the mess his life had become. But belief was a luxury he couldn't afford anymore. Just stay inside, Undus, he said. I'll be back in a few hours. He left before she could argue. The construction site was chaos. The foreman was screaming at someone about missing rebar. The concrete truck was late, and Nathan's supervisor took one look at him and shook his head. You look like hell, Reed. Thanks, Mike. I'm serious. When's the last time you slept? I'm fine. You're falling apart. Mike crossed his arms. Look, I get it. You got stuff going on. But if you can't focus, you're going to get hurt. Or worse, you're going to get someone else hurt. Nathan picked up his hard hat and shoved it on his head. I said I'm fine. Mike sighed. Just be careful, all right? I can't afford to lose another guy. Nathan didn't answer. He walked onto the site, grabbed a shovel, and started digging. The work was mindless, brutal, exactly what he needed. Every swing of the shovel was another thought he didn't have to think. Another problem he didn't have to solve. Another hour closer to the end of the day when he could go home and collapse. Except he couldn't collapse, because Selena Vaughn was sitting in his apartment planning some kind of billionaire revenge plot that was probably going to get them both killed. Nathan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. By the fourth time, Mike was glaring at him from across the site. Nathan pulled out his phone. 3 missed calls from a number he didn't recognize. 1 voicemail. He stepped away from the noise and pressed the phone to his ear. The voice that came through was cold, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Mr. Reed, this is Daniel Cross. I represent Vaughn Technologies. I'm calling to inform you that Miss Selena Vaughn has been reported missing. We have reason to believe you may have information regarding her whereabouts. Please contact me immediately at the number provided. Failure to do so will result in further action. Nathan's blood went cold. They knew. Somehow, they knew. He deleted the voicemail and shoved his phone back in his pocket. His hands were shaking. The shovel slipped and hit the ground with a dull thud. Mike was walking toward him. Reed, you good? Yeah, Nathan lied. I'm good. He wasn't good. He was so far from good he couldn't even see it anymore. Nathan lasted 2 more hours before he told Mike he was sick and left. He drove home with his heart hammering, his brain spinning through every terrible possibility. If Vaughn Technologies knew Selena was missing, that meant the people hunting her were still looking. And if they connected her disappearance to Nathan, it wouldn't take long before they showed up at his door. He parked in the lot and took the stairs 2 at a time. The hallway was empty. Quiet. Too quiet. Nathan's stomach twisted as he reached his apartment door and found it slightly ajar. He pushed it open slowly. Selena was sitting on the couch with Nathan's laptop open in front of her, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She looked up when he walked in, and whatever she saw on his face made her stop typing. What happened? Nathan closed the door and locked it. Then he locked the deadbolt. Then he shoved a chair under the handle for good measure. They called me, he said. Your company. They know you're missing. Selena's expression didn't change. I expected that. They think I know where you are. You do know where I am. That's not the point. Nathan ran a hand through his hair. If they think I'm involved, they're going to come after me, which means they're going to come after Lily. Selena closed the laptop. No one is going to touch Lily. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She stood, and Nathan saw that steel in her again, the kind that made her a billionaire before 30. Because if they try, I'll destroy them. Nathan laughed bitterly. You keep saying that, but you're one person. They've got lawyers, security, money, and I've got proof. Selena tapped the laptop. I've been digging through your files, the ones you found 6 months ago. The offshore accounts, the shell companies, all of it. You were right. Nathan, it's not just fraud. It's a full-scale money laundering operation running through my company. And the people running it are the same people sitting on my executive board. Nathan stared at her. How much are we talking? Conservatively, 200 million. maybe more. Jesus. They've been siphoning funds for years, hiding it in accounts tied to dummy corporations overseas. And when you found the files, they panicked. So they framed you, destroyed your credibility, and made sure no one would believe a word you said. Selena's voice was ice. And then they tried to kill me when I started asking questions. Nathan sat down heavily on the couch. His head was spinning. $200 million. The kind of money that bought silence, that bought power, that bought people's lives. So what do we do? Nathan asked. Go to the police? No, the police won't help us. Half of them are probably on Vaughn Technologies' payroll. Then what? Selena sat down next to him. We do exactly what they don't expect. We go public. Nathan blinked. Public. So I still have access to my company's internal servers. I can pull the files, the transaction records, everything. And then we leak it to the press, to federal regulators, to anyone who'll listen. Well, they'll kill you. They'll try. Selena's smile was sharp. But I didn't build an empire by being easy to kill. Nathan wanted to argue, wanted to tell her this was insane. But the truth was, he didn't have a better plan. And if Selena could actually prove what happened, maybe, just maybe, Nathan could keep Lily safe. All right, Nathan said. What do you need from me? I need you to help me access the files you found, the original ones, before they scrubbed the servers. I don't have them anymore. The FBI seized my computer. I know, but you remember where they were stored, right? Which servers, which directories? Nathan nodded slowly. Yeah, I think so. Good. Selena opened the laptop again. Then let's get to work. They spent the rest of the afternoon hunched over the laptop, Selena's fingers flying across the keyboard while Nathan pointed out file paths and server locations from memory. It was slow, frustrating work. Half the directories had been wiped. The other half were buried under layers of encryption. But Selena was relentless. Every time they hit a dead end, she found another way in, another back door, another exploit. Nathan watched her work with something close to awe. This wasn't the cold, untouchable billionaire from the magazine covers. This was someone who knew every line of code in her company's infrastructure. Someone who'd built the whole damn thing from the ground up. You really did this yourself, Nathan said. Built Vaughn Technologies. Us. Selena didn't look up from the screen. Every line of code, every server, every protocol. Why? Because no one else would. Her voice was flat. I grew up in foster care. Bounced between 6 families before I aged out at 18. No money, no connections, no safety net. So I taught myself to code, built a platform that corporations needed, and sold it for enough money to never be powerless again. Nathan went quiet. He'd read the headlines about Selena Vaughn, the self-made billionaire genius. But the headlines never mentioned foster care, never mentioned powerlessness. I'm sorry, Dean Nathan said. Don't be. Selena's fingers paused on the keyboard. It made me who I am, and who I am is someone who doesn't lose. She hit enter, and a directory opened on the screen. Nathan leaned forward, his heart jumping. That's it, he said. That's the folder. Wait. Selena scrolled through the files. Transaction logs. Account numbers. Corporate filings. All of it sitting right there, proof of a conspiracy that had destroyed Nathan's life. We've got them, Selena said quietly. We actually got them. Nathan didn't feel relief. He felt dread. Because having proof meant nothing if they couldn't use it. And using it meant going to war with people who'd already proven they were willing to kill. What now? Nathan asked. Selena closed the laptop. Now we wait. For what? For them to make a mistake. The mistake came 3 hours later. Nathan was in the kitchen making dinner when the building's fire alarm went off. It was deafening, a shrieking wail that rattled the walls and set Nathan's nerves on edge. He dropped the knife he'd been holding and looked at Selena. Is that? Get Lily, Selena said. Now. Nathan ran to Lily's room. She was sitting on her bed with her hands over her ears, tears streaming down her face. Nathan scooped her up and ran back to the living room. Selena was at the window, looking down at the parking lot. Her face was pale. What is it? Nathan asked. 3 SUVs black, no plates. Nathan's stomach dropped. They found us. Yeah. Selena turned away from the window. We need to leave, now. Nathan set Lily down and grabbed his keys. Back stairwell. It comes out near the dumpsters. They ran. Nathan carried Lily, Selena right behind him. The fire alarm still screaming through the building. They hit the back stairs and started down. Nathan's boots pounding on the concrete, his heart hammering so hard he thought it might explode. They made it to the ground floor and burst through the door into the alley. Nathan's truck was parked 50 feet away. They ran for it, Nathan fumbling with his keys, his hand shaking so bad he could barely get the door open. That's when he saw them. 2 men, dark suits, moving toward them from the far end of the alley. Get in the truck, Nathan shouted. Selena shoved Lily into the passenger seat and climbed in after her. Nathan threw himself behind the wheel, jammed the key into the ignition, and floored it. The truck lurched forward, tires squealing on the wet pavement. One of the men pulled something from his jacket. Nathan saw the glint of metal and yanked the wheel hard to the right. The truck swerved, clipping a dumpster, the impact jolting through Nathan's bones. He didn't slow down. He punched the gas and tore out of the alley onto the main road. Behind them, headlights appeared. The SUVs. They're following us, Selena said. I know. Nathan's mind was racing. He couldn't go to the police, couldn't go to a hospital, couldn't go anywhere public, which left exactly one option. He pulled out his phone and tossed it to Selena. Call Mrs. Chen. Tell her to get out of the building. Selena dialed. Her voice was calm, steady, like she was ordering coffee instead of fleeing for her life. Mrs. Chen? This is Selena. I'm with Nathan. You need to leave the building right now. No, I can't explain. Just go, please. She hung up and looked at Nathan. Where are we going? Nathan didn't answer. He just drove. They ended up at an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the industrial district, a place Nathan knew from his construction days when the company tried to renovate it and gave up. The building was half collapsed, surrounded by chain-link fence and weeds. Nathan pulled the truck behind a pile of rusted shipping containers and killed the engine. For a long moment, none of them moved. Then Lily started crying. Nathan unbuckled his seatbelt and pulled her into his lap, holding her tight while she sobbed into his chest. It's okay, baby. It's okay. I'm scared, Daddy. I know, me too. Selena sat frozen in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead. Her hands were clenched in her lap, her breathing shallow. This is my fault, she said quietly. No, Nathan said. It's not. You helped me, and now they're hunting you. They were already hunting me. Nathan's voice was rough. You didn't do this. They did. Selena finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were glassy, but she wasn't crying. She looked like someone who'd forgotten how. I don't know how to fix this, she said. Neither do I. They sat in the dark, the 3 of them crammed into the front seat of a dying truck, and for the first time since this nightmare started, Nathan wondered if they were going to make it out alive. Lily's crying slowed. Her breathing evened out. She fell asleep against Nathan's chest, exhausted and terrified, and too young to understand why her world kept falling apart. Nathan looked at Selena. We can't stay here. I know. They'll find us eventually. I know. So what do we do? Selena was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a phone Nathan hadn't seen before. Expensive, sleek. Probably cost more than Nathan made in 6 months. Yes. I have people, Selena said. People I trust, people who can help. Who? My head of security, Marcus Grant. He's been with me since the beginning. If anyone can keep us safe, it's him. Nathan hesitated. You sure about that? No. Selena's voice cracked. But I don't have any other options. She dialed. The call connected. Nathan heard a man's voice on the other end, sharp and urgent. Ms. Vaughn, where the hell have you been? We've been looking for you for, Marcus, I need your help, Selena said. I'm in trouble, real trouble, and I need you to come get me, alone, no one else. Do you understand? There was a pause. Then, where are you? Selena gave him the address. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Marcus said. Stay hidden. She hung up. Nathan stared at her. You trust him? I have to. That's not an answer. Selena looked at Lily, asleep in Nathan's arms, and something in her expression softened. She deserves better than this, Selena said quietly. Both of you do. Yeah, well, we don't get what we deserve. We get what we fight for. Selena smiled, sad and tired. Then I guess we'd better start fighting. 20 minutes later, a black sedan pulled up outside the warehouse. A man got out, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the kind of precision that screamed military training. He scanned the area, then walked toward the truck. Nathan's hand went to the door handle, ready to floor it if this went wrong. The man stopped a few feet away and held up his hands. "Ms. Vaughn," he called. "It's Marcus. I'm alone." Selena opened the door and stepped out. Marcus's expression shifted from relief to fury in the space of a heartbeat. "What the hell happened?" he demanded. "Who tried to—" "Not here," Selena said. We need to move. Now." Marcus's eyes flicked to Nathan, then to Lily in his arms. "Who are they?" "People I trust," Selena said. "That's all you need to know." Marcus hesitated. Then he nodded. "All right, my car. Let's go." They piled into the sedan, Marcus behind the wheel, Selena in the passenger seat, Nathan and Lily in the back. Marcus drove fast but controlled, taking back roads and side streets Nathan didn't recognize. "Where are we going?" Nathan asked. "Safe house," Marcus said. "Off the grid. No one knows about it except me." Nathan wanted to believe him, but trust was a luxury he couldn't afford anymore. They drove for an hour. The city gave way to suburbs, then to empty fields and dark highways. Finally, Marcus turned onto a dirt road that led to a small cabin surrounded by trees. He parked and killed the engine. "We're here," he said. The cabin was small but secure. Reinforced doors, cameras on the perimeter, a generator humming in the back. Marcus led them inside and locked the door behind them. "You're safe here," he said. "At least for now." Selena collapsed onto a couch that looked like it hadn't been used in years. Nathan set Lily down gently, and she curled up next to Selena without waking. Marcus crossed his arms. "All right, someone want to tell me what the hell is going on?" Selena told him everything. The assassination attempt, the conspiracy, Nathan's connection to the case. By the time she finished, Marcus looked like he'd aged 10 years. "You're telling me our own executives tried to kill you?" "Yes. And they framed this guy to cover it up." "Yes." Marcus turned to Nathan. "You got proof?" Nathan nodded. "Yeah. We pulled the files." "Then why haven't you gone to the police?" "Because half the police are probably on Vaughn Technologies' payroll," Selena said. Marcus rubbed his face. "This is bad. This is really bad. I know. If what you're saying is true, we're talking about federal charges. RICO, conspiracy. These people are going to fight back with everything they've got." "I know." Marcus looked at Selena for a long moment. Then he straightened and pulled out his phone. "All right," he said. "I know a federal prosecutor, someone I trust. If we give her the files, she can open an investigation, but it's going to take time. And until then, you need to stay hidden." Selena nodded. "Do it." "Whoa." Marcus stepped outside to make the call. Nathan sat down next to Selena, exhaustion finally catching up to him. He looked at Lily, still asleep, and felt something break inside his chest. "She shouldn't have to go through this," Nathan said. "No," Selena agreed. "She shouldn't. I keep trying to protect her, but no matter what I do, the world keeps finding ways to hurt her." Selena reached out and took his hand. It was the first time she'd touched him since the highway. Her skin was warm. "You're a good father, Nathan," she said. "Better than most people with 10 times your resources." "I'm failing her." "No, you're keeping her alive." "That's not failing. That's everything." Nathan looked at her. In the dim light of the cabin, Selena didn't look like a billionaire. She looked like someone who'd spent her whole life fighting just to survive. Just like him. "Why are you doing this?" Nathan asked. "Helping me. Risking everything." Selena's grip on his hand tightened. "Because you stopped," she said quietly. "In the storm. When you had every reason to keep driving, you stopped. And for the first time in my life, someone chose to help me without wanting something in return." Her voice cracked. "So yeah, Nathan, I'm going to fight for you. Because you fought for me first. But Nathan didn't know what to say to that, so he just sat there, holding the hand of a woman who could buy and sell his entire world, and let himself believe just for a moment that maybe they had a chance. Marcus came back inside. His expression was grim. "The prosecutor's willing to meet," he said, "but not until we can guarantee her safety. These people have reach, Selena. If they find out we're building a case, they'll come after everyone involved." "Then we move fast," Selena said. "How fast?" 2 days. We get the files organized, hand them over, and disappear until the arrests go through." Marcus nodded. "All right, I'll make it happen." He left again. Selena leaned back against the couch and closed her eyes. Nathan watched her, this woman who'd gone from dying in a storm to planning a war against her own company in less than 48 hours. "You ever stop?" Nathan asked. Selena opened her eyes. "Stop what?" "Fighting." She thought about it for a moment, then she smiled, sad and tired. "No," she said, "I don't think I do." They sat in silence after that, the two of them and Lily asleep between them, and outside the cabin the world kept turning, full of people who wanted them dead, and a system designed to crush anyone who fought back. But inside, just for tonight, they were safe. And that was enough. Nathan woke to the sound of Lily's laughter. For a second, he didn't know where he was. The ceiling was wrong. The walls were wrong. Then it all came rushing back. The storm, the chase, the safe house, and he sat up fast, his heart hammering. Lily was sitting at a small wooden table near the window, drawing with crayons Marcus must have found somewhere. Selena sat across from her, watching with the kind of focus people usually reserved for board meetings and million-dollar deals. "That's a dragon," Lily was saying, holding up her paper. "See? It breathes fire." "It's terrifying," Selena said seriously. "What's its name?" "Mr. Fluffkins." Selena blinked. "Mr. Fluffkins." "Yeah, because he's fluffy, even though he's scary." Nathan rubbed his face, trying to process the image of a billionaire tech genius discussing a dragon named Mr. Fluffkins with his 8-year-old daughter. He must have made a noise because both of them turned to look at him. "Daddy!" Lily jumped up and ran over, throwing her arms around him. "You're awake." "Yeah, baby, I'm awake." Nathan hugged her tight, then looked at Selena. "How long was I out?" 4 hours, Selena said. "Marcus said to let you sleep. You needed it." Ich boss. Nathan stood, his body protesting every movement. 4 hours wasn't nearly enough, but it was more than he'd gotten in weeks. He walked to the window and looked out at the trees surrounding the cabin. Sunlight filtered through the branches, peaceful and quiet. It felt wrong, like the calm before something terrible. "Where's Marcus?" "Perimeter checked," Selena said. "He's been gone 20 minutes. Nathan nodded. He didn't trust Marcus, didn't trust anyone at this point, but the guy had gotten them somewhere safe. That counted for something. Lily tugged on Nathan's sleeve. "I'm hungry." "All right, let's see what we can find." The cabin's kitchen was small but stocked. Canned goods, dry pasta, a few frozen meals in a mini freezer. Nathan found eggs and bread and started making breakfast while Lily went back to her drawings. Selena stayed at the table, her phone out, her fingers scrolling through something Nathan couldn't see. "You sleep at all?" Nathan asked. "No." "You should." "I will." Selena didn't look up from her phone. "After this is over." Nathan cracked eggs into a pan. "What are you looking at?" "News, social media, trying to see if they've gone public yet." "With what?" "My disappearance." Selena's voice was tight. "They'll have to report it soon. A CEO vanishing for 2 days looks bad. But the longer they wait, the more it tells me they're scrambling." Nathan flipped the eggs. "What happens when they do report it?" "Depends on how they frame it. If they claim I'm missing, they'll launch a search. Probably blame it on me having a breakdown or being kidnapped. If they claim I'm taking time off, it means they're trying to buy time to clean up the evidence. Either way, we're screwed. Not screwed." Selena finally looked up, just on a clock. The door opened and Marcus walked in, his expression grim. He had his phone in one hand and a laptop bag slung over his shoulder. We've got a problem, Marcus said. Selena set her phone down. What kind of problem? Marcus opened his laptop and turned it toward her. On the screen was a news article, the headline big and bold. Vaughn Technologies CEO. Missing after suspected abduction. Nathan's stomach dropped. Selena leaned forward, reading fast. Her face went pale. They're saying I was taken, she said quietly. That witnesses reported seeing me forced into a vehicle outside my penthouse. That's a lie, Nathan said. Of course it's a lie. Marcus's voice was sharp. But it's a smart one. Now they've got the police, the FBI, probably half a dozen agencies looking for you. And when they find you, they'll spin it however they want. Selena scrolled down. They're offering a reward, $500,000 for information leading to my safe return. Nathan felt the walls closing in. $500,000. That kind of money turned neighbors into informants, made people look twice at strangers, made staying hidden impossible. How long do we have? Selena asked. Hours, maybe, Marcus said. A day if we're lucky. But if someone recognizes you, if someone sees Reed's truck, if anyone puts two and two together, it's over. Lily looked up from her drawings, her eyes wide. Are we in trouble? Nathan crossed the room and knelt next to her. No, sweetheart, we're okay. But that man said, he's just worried, that's all. Nathan forced a smile. Why don't you go draw in the other room for a bit? Lily hesitated, then picked up her crayons and left. The second she was gone, Nathan turned to Marcus. We need to move. Now, focus. Move where? Marcus demanded. Every cop in the state is looking for her. Every highway, every motel, every damn gas station is going to have her face plastered on it by tonight. Then we don't use highways, Nathan said. We stay off the grid, back roads, small towns. And go where exactly? Nathan didn't have an answer. Selena stood. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. We don't run. We fight. Marcus stared at her. Selena, you can't be serious. I'm dead serious. They've made their move. Now we make ours. They've got the entire city looking for you. Good. Selena's eyes were hard. Then they'll be watching when I burn their empire to the ground. Nathan stepped between them. Selena, Marcus is right. If we go public now, they'll bury us. They're already burying us, Selena shot back. The difference is now they've given me an audience. Every news outlet in the country is running my story. So let's give them a story they won't forget. Marcus shook his head. This is insane. No, this is the only move we have left. Selena turned to Nathan. You said you have the files, the proof, everything we need to expose what they did. Yeah, then we leak it, all of it, tonight. Nathan's heart was pounding. If we do that, they'll come after us with everything. Let them. Selena's voice was ice. I'm done hiding. I'm done playing defense. These people tried to kill me. They framed you. They put Lily in danger. So now we take everything from them. Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, but something in Selena's expression stopped him. He'd seen that look before. Nathan could tell. It was the same look she probably wore when she built her company from nothing, when she stared down investors and competitors and anyone who told her she couldn't win. All right, Marcus said finally. What do you need? A secure connection, encrypted, and a list of every major news outlet, federal regulator, and law enforcement agency in the state. That's going to take time. Then we don't waste any. The next 6 hours were chaos. Marcus set up a secure network using equipment Nathan didn't recognize. Selena pulled up the files they'd recovered and started organizing them into a package that even a first-year law student could follow. Transaction records, account numbers, corporate filings, audio recordings of meetings where executives discussed laundering money through offshore accounts. It was all there, a smoking gun the size of a small country. Nathan helped where he could, but mostly he stayed with Lily, trying to keep her distracted while the adults planned something that felt a lot like suicide. Daddy, Lily said at one point, looking up from her crayons, is Selena going to be okay? Nathan didn't know how to answer that. I hope so, baby. I like her. Yeah, me too. Is she going to stay with us? Nathan's chest tightened. I don't know. Andy. Lily went back to drawing, but Nathan could see the worry in her face. The same worry he'd been carrying since the moment he pulled Selena out of the storm. By late afternoon, Marcus had the network running. Selena drafted an email, short, direct, devastating, and attached every file they'd recovered. Then she pulled up a list of recipients, news agencies, federal prosecutors, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the FBI. Over 200 addresses in total. Once I send this, Selena said, there's no going back. Marcus looked at her. You sure about this? No. Selena's hand hovered over the keyboard. But I'm doing it anyway. She hit send. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen filled with confirmation messages. Sent, sent, sent. Over and over until all 200 emails were gone, scattered across the country like grenades. Selena closed the laptop and stood. Her hands were shaking again, but her face was calm. Now we wait, she said. They didn't have to wait long. 20 minutes later, Marcus's phone started ringing. He looked at the screen and swore. It's the FBI. Nathan's blood went cold. How did they... They traced the email. Marcus answered the call. Grant. Nathan couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but he could see Marcus's expression shift from tense to alarmed. Yes, she's safe, Marcus said. No, I can't tell you where we are, because half your people are probably on Vaughn Technologies' payroll. That's why. There was a pause. Then Marcus's eyes went wide. Say that again. Another pause. When? Marcus hung up and looked at Selena. They're moving. The FBI just executed search warrants at Vaughn Technologies headquarters. They're seizing servers, documents, everything. Selena's face didn't change. Good. Selena's face. Good? Selena, they're tearing your company apart. It's not my company anymore. Her voice was flat. It's theirs. And they can burn with it. Nathan stepped forward. What about us? Did the FBI say anything about, they want you both in protective custody, said it's not safe out here? They're right, Selena said. It's not. As if on cue, the cabin's lights went out. The generator had been running since they arrived, a steady hum in the background. Now it was silent. The sudden darkness was complete, swallowing the room. Marcus? Nathan said quietly. I know. Marcus's voice was tight. He pulled a gun from somewhere Nathan hadn't seen and moved toward the window. Stay down. Nathan grabbed Lily and pulled her close. Selena dropped to the floor next to them, her breathing fast but controlled. Outside, Nathan heard something. Footsteps. More than one person. Marcus peered through the window, then swore. 3 vehicles. 6 men. Maybe more. They're surrounding the cabin. How did they find us? Selena demanded. Doesn't matter. Marcus moved away from the window. Back door. Now. They ran. Marcus led the way, his gun up, his movements precise. Nathan carried Lily, her arms wrapped around his neck, her face buried in his shoulder. Selena was right behind them, her hand on Nathan's back like she was afraid he'd disappear. They reached the back door. Marcus checked the perimeter, then pushed it open. That's when the shooting started. The first shot shattered the window behind them. Glass exploded across the cabin. Nathan dropped to the floor, covering Lily with his body, his ears ringing. More shots followed, punching holes through the walls, splintering wood, and sending debris flying. Go! Marcus shouted. I'll cover you. Nathan didn't think. He just moved. He grabbed Lily and ran through the door into the trees, Selena right beside him. Behind them, Marcus returned fire, the sound deafening in the quiet of the forest. They ran through the underbrush, branches tearing at their clothes, the ground uneven and treacherous. Nathan's lungs burned. His legs screamed. But he didn't stop, couldn't stop, because behind them, men were shouting and more gunfire erupted and Lily was crying into his shoulder. They reached a dirt road. Nathan didn't recognize it, didn't know where it led. He just picked a direction and kept running. That's when he heard the engine. A vehicle was coming up fast behind them, headlights cutting through the darkness. Nathan's heart sank. They were trapped. No cover, no options. He set Lily down and stepped in front of her, his body between her and whatever was coming. The vehicle stopped. The door opened. It was Marcus. "Get in!" he shouted. Nathan didn't question it. He shoved Lily into the back seat and climbed in after her. Selena jumped in the front. Marcus floored it before the doors were even closed, the vehicle fishtailing on the loose dirt. "What happened back there?" Selena demanded. "They had thermal scopes," Marcus said. "Military-grade equipment. These aren't corporate security. These are professionals. Who sent them?" "Who do you think?" Marcus took a sharp turn, the vehicle sliding sideways. "Your executives aren't playing around anymore. They're going for the kill." Nathan held Lily tight, his mind racing. They'd sent the files. The FBI was moving. But it didn't matter, because the people hunting them weren't waiting for trials or investigations. They were ending this the old-fashioned way. With bullets, Marcus drove for 20 minutes, taking back roads and side streets Nathan couldn't track. Finally, he pulled into an empty parking garage and killed the engine. "We can't stay here long," Marcus said. "But we need a plan." "The plan is to survive," Nathan said. "That's not a plan. That's a prayer." Selena turned to look at both of them. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow, but her voice was steady. "We go to the FBI," she said. "Right now. We walk into the nearest field office and demand protective custody." "They'll arrest Nathan," Marcus said. "He's still wanted for fraud." "Then we deal with that." Selena looked at Nathan. "I'll testify. I'll give them everything. They'll have to drop the charges." Nathan wanted to believe her, but he'd learned the hard way that the system didn't care about truth. It cared about what it could prove. And right now, all the evidence still pointed to Nathan being guilty. "What about Lily?" Nathan asked. Selena's expression softened. "Child services, temporary placement, just until this is over." Nathan's blood went cold. "No." "Nathan, I said no." His voice cracked. "I'm not letting them take her. I'm not letting her go into the system. It's the only way to keep her safe." "I don't care," Nathan was shouting now, his control finally breaking. "I've spent 8 years keeping her safe. I've worked myself to death. I've gone hungry so she could eat. I fought every damn battle there is. And I'm not handing her over to strangers." Selena reached out and took his hand. I know what you've sacrificed. But right now, the safest place for her is somewhere they can't reach. And if we don't make it, if they kill us before this is over, what happens to her then?" Selena didn't have an answer. Lily stirred in Nathan's arms. She'd been quiet through the whole exchange, but now she lifted her head and looked at her father. "Daddy," she whispered, "I'm scared." Nathan's heart shattered. He pulled her close and kissed the top of her head. "I know, baby. I know." Marcus's phone rang. He answered it, listened for a moment, then hung up. "The FBI wants to meet," he said. "Tomorrow morning, Federal Building downtown. They're offering full immunity for both of you in exchange for testimony." Nathan looked at Selena. "You trust them?" "No," Selena said. "But it's the only option we have left. Band." They spent the night in the parking garage, sleeping in shifts, jumping at every sound. Nathan held Lily the entire time, memorizing the weight of her in his arms, the sound of her breathing, the way she curled into him like he was the only safe thing in the world. Because tomorrow, he might have to let her go. When morning came, Marcus drove them to the Federal Building. It was a massive concrete structure in the heart of downtown, surrounded by security barriers and armed guards. Nathan's stomach was in knots. Selena sat beside him, her face calm but her hands clenched into fists. They parked and got out. Marcus led the way, his hand resting on his gun, even though Nathan knew it wouldn't help if something went wrong. They were halfway to the entrance when Nathan saw them, 3 black SUVs parked across the street, watching. "Marcus?" Nathan said quietly. Marcus followed his gaze. His expression darkened. "Keep moving." They walked faster. The entrance was 50 feet away. 40, 30. That's when the first SUV moved. It pulled out into traffic, cutting off other vehicles, heading straight for them. The second and third followed. "Run!" Marcus shouted. They ran. Nathan grabbed Lily and sprinted toward the federal building, his legs pumping, his lungs screaming. Selena was beside him, Marcus right behind. The SUVs accelerated, tires squealing. They reached the entrance. Federal agents were already moving, weapons drawn, shouting orders. Marcus shoved Nathan and Selena through the doors just as the SUVs screeched to a halt outside. Doors opened. Men in suits stepped out, but they didn't draw weapons. They just stood there, watching. Their message clear. We know where you are, and we're not done. Inside the building, Nathan collapsed against a wall, Lily clutching him, both of them shaking. Selena stood in the middle of the lobby, staring back through the glass doors at the men who'd tried to kill her. An FBI agent approached, badge out. Ms. Vaughn, Mr. Reed, I'm Special Agent Catherine Price. We need to talk. Selena turned to face her, and for the first time since Nathan had pulled her out of the storm, he saw something in her eyes that scared him. Not fear, not exhaustion, rage. Yes, Selena said quietly. We do. They were taken to a conference room deep inside the building. White walls. No windows. A table with chairs and a recorder in the center. Agent Price sat across from them, flanked by two other agents Nathan didn't recognize. Let's start from the beginning, Price said. Ms. Vaughn, you claim executives at your company attempted to have you killed. I don't claim it, Selena said. It happened, and I have proof. She pulled out a flash drive and slid it across the table. Price picked it up, examining it. What's on this? Everything. Transaction records, audio files, corporate documents showing a $200 million money laundering operation running through Vaughn Technologies for the last 5 years, and the names of every executive involved. Price inserted the drive into a laptop and started scrolling. Her expression didn't change, but Nathan saw her jaw tighten. This is substantial, Price said. If it's legitimate. It's legitimate, Selena said. And you'll verify that the second your forensic team starts pulling data from the servers you seized yesterday. Price looked at Nathan. And you're the IT contractor who was framed. Yeah, Nathan said. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Because no one would believe me. I was a nobody accusing billionaires of fraud. Who was going to listen? We would have. Nathan laughed bitterly. Would you? Or would you have done exactly what you did the first time? Show up with a warrant, haul me away, and let the system crush me. Price's expression hardened. Mr. Reed, we're trying to help you. You're trying to clean up a mess that's been sitting under your nose for 5 years. Don't pretend this is about helping me. Nathan, Selena said quietly. Nathan stopped. He was shaking, his anger finally spilling over. Price watched him for a moment, then turned back to Selena. We'll need sworn statements from both of you, full depositions, and you'll both need to testify when this goes to trial. Fine, Selena said. But we need protection, real protection. Not whatever half measure you're planning. You'll be placed in witness protection until the arrests are made. And my daughter, Nathan demanded. What happens to her? Price hesitated. She'll be placed in temporary foster care. No. Mr. Reed, I said no. It's for her safety. She's safe with me. Nathan! Selena's voice cut through his anger. Let me talk to them. Alone. Nathan stared at her. Then he stood, picked up Lily, and walked out of the room. Marcus followed him into the hallway, and they stood there in silence. Lily's weight heavy in Nathan's arms. I can't lose her, Nathan said. You won't, Marcus said. Selena will figure something out. You don't know that. Yeah, I do, because I've never seen her lose a fight. 20 minutes later, Selena emerged. Her face was tight, but her eyes were determined. What did you tell them? Nathan asked. That Lily stays with you, under FBI protection, non-negotiable. And they agreed? They didn't have a choice. Selena's smile was sharp. I told them if they separated you two, I'd pull my testimony and let the whole case collapse. Nathan stared at her. You'd do that? In a heartbeat. Something in Nathan's chest cracked open. He didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to thank someone who'd just gambled everything to keep his family together. Selena, don't, she said. Just don't. Price appeared in the doorway. We're ready. There's a safe house prepared. We'll transport you tonight. They were taken in an armored convoy, 3 vehicles moving through the city like a military operation. Nathan sat in the back with Lily, Selena beside them, Marcus in the front with the driver. The safe house was outside the city, tucked into a quiet neighborhood that looked like every other suburb Nathan had ever seen. Boring, anonymous, safe. Inside, federal agents swept the house, checked the perimeter, and posted guards at every entrance. Price gave them a quick briefing: stay inside, don't contact anyone, don't go near windows, and then left them alone. Nathan put Lily to bed in one of the upstairs rooms. She was exhausted, her eyes closing before her head hit the pillow. He sat with her until she was asleep, then went back downstairs. Selena was standing at the kitchen counter, staring at nothing. Marcus was on the phone in the other room, his voice low and urgent. Nathan walked over and stood next to her. You okay? No, Selena said. But I will be. When this is over? Yeah, when this is over. Nathan leaned against the counter. What happens then? After the arrests? After the trial? What do you do? Selena was quiet for a long time. Then she turned to look at him. I don't know, she said. For the first time in my life, I don't have a plan. That's terrifying. Yeah, it is. She smiled, sad and tired. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe I've spent too long planning, too long controlling everything. Maybe it's time to just see what happens. Nathan didn't know what to say to that, so he just stood there, next to a woman who'd lost everything to save him, and wondered if maybe, just maybe, they'd both found something worth fighting for. Upstairs, Lily slept. Outside, guards watched the perimeter. And somewhere across the city, men in handcuffs were being dragged into federal custody, their empire crumbling around them. The war wasn't over yet, but for the first time, Nathan believed they might actually win. Nathan woke to the sound of Lily's laughter. For a second, he didn't know where he was. The ceiling was wrong. The walls were wrong. Then it all came rushing back. The storm, the chase, the safe house. And he sat up fast, his heart hammering. Lily was sitting at a small wooden table near the window, drawing with crayons Marcus must have found somewhere. Selena sat across from her, watching with the kind of focus people usually reserve for board meetings and million-dollar deals. That's a dragon, Lily was saying, holding up her paper. See? It breathes fire. It's terrifying, Selena said seriously. What's its name? Mr. Fluffkins. Selena blinked. Mr. Fluffkins. Yeah, because he's fluffy, even though he's scary. Nathan rubbed his face, trying to process the image of a billionaire tech genius discussing a dragon named Mr. Fluffkins with his 8-year-old daughter. He must have made a noise because both of them turned to look at him. Daddy! Lily jumped up and ran over, throwing her arms around him. You're awake. Yeah, baby, I'm awake. Nathan hugged her tight, then looked at Selena. How long was I out? 4 hours, Selena said. Marcus said to let you sleep. You needed it. Nathan stood, his body protesting every movement. 4 hours wasn't nearly enough, but it was more than he'd gotten in weeks. He walked to the window and looked out at the trees surrounding the cabin. Sunlight filtered through the branches, peaceful and quiet. It felt wrong, like the calm before something terrible. Where's Marcus? Perimeter check, Selena said. He's been gone 20 minutes. Nathan nodded. He didn't trust Marcus, didn't trust anyone at this point, but the guy had gotten them somewhere safe. That counted for something. Lily tugged on Nathan's sleeve. I'm hungry. All right, let's see what we can find. The cabin's kitchen was small but stocked. Canned goods, dry pasta, a few frozen meals in a mini freezer. Nathan found eggs and bread and started making breakfast while Lily went back to her drawings. Selena stayed at the table, her phone out, her fingers scrolling through something Nathan couldn't see. You sleep at all? Nathan asked. No. You should. I will. Selena didn't look up from her phone. After this is over. Nathan cracked eggs into a pan. What are you looking at? So, news, social media, trying to see if they've gone public yet. With what? My disappearance, E.T. Selena's voice was tight. They'll have to report it soon. A CEO vanishing for 2 days looks bad. But the longer they wait, the more it tells me they're scrambling. Nathan flipped the eggs. What happens when they do report it? Depends on how they frame it. If they claim I'm missing, they'll launch a search. Probably blame it on me having a breakdown or being kidnapped. If they claim I'm taking time off, it means they're trying to buy time to clean up the evidence. Either way, we're screwed. Not screwed. Selena finally looked up. Just on a clock. The door opened and Marcus walked in, his expression grim. He had his phone in one hand and a laptop bag slung over his shoulder. "We've got a problem," Marcus said. Selena set her phone down. "What kind of problem?" Marcus opened his laptop and turned it toward her. On the screen was a news article, the headline big and bold. Vought of Vaughn Technologies. CEO missing after suspected abduction. Nathan's stomach dropped. Selena leaned forward, reading fast. Her face went pale. "They're saying I was taken." "Yet," she said quietly, "that witnesses reported seeing me forced into a vehicle outside my penthouse." "That's a lie," Nathan said. "Of course it's a lie." Marcus's voice was sharp. "But it's a smart one. Now they've got the police, the FBI, probably half a dozen agencies looking for you. And when they find you, they'll spin it however they want." Selena scrolled down. "They're offering a reward, $500,000 for information leading to my safe return." Nathan felt the walls closing in. $500,000. That kind of money turned neighbors into informants, made people look twice at strangers, made staying hidden impossible. "How long do we have?" Selena asked. "Hours, maybe," Marcus said. "A day if we're lucky. But if someone recognizes you, if someone sees Reed's truck, if anyone puts two and two together, it's over." Lily looked up from her drawings, her eyes wide. "Are we in trouble? Also?" Nathan crossed the room and knelt next to her. "No, sweetheart. We're okay." But that man said, "He's just worried, that's all." Nathan forced a smile. "Why don't you go draw in the other room for a bit?" Lily hesitated, then picked up her crayons and left. The second she was gone, Nathan turned to Marcus. "We need to move, now." "Move where?" Marcus demanded. "Every cop in the state is looking for her. Every highway, every motel, every damn gas station is going to have her face plastered on it by tonight." "Then we don't use highways," Nathan said. "We stay off the grid, back roads, small towns." "And go where exactly?" Nathan didn't have an answer. Selena stood. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "We don't run. We fight." Marcus stared at her. "Selena, you can't be serious." "I'm dead serious. They've made their move. Now we make ours." "They've got the entire city looking for you." "Good." Selena's eyes were hard. "Then they'll be watching when I burn their empire to the ground." Nathan stepped between them. "Selena, Marcus is right. If we go public now, they'll bury us." "They're already burying us," Selena shot back. "The difference is, now they've given me an audience. Every news outlet in the country is running my story. So let's give them a story they won't forget." Marcus shook his head. "This is insane. No, this is the only move we have left." Selena turned to Nathan. "You said you have the files, the proof, everything we need to expose what they did." "Yeah. Then we leak it, all of it, tonight." Nathan's heart was pounding. "If we do that, they'll come after us with everything." "Let them." Selena's voice was ice. "I'm done hiding. I'm done playing defense. These people tried to kill me. They framed you. They put Lily in danger. So now we take everything from them." Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, but something in Selena's expression stopped him. He'd seen that look before. Nathan could tell. It was the same look she probably wore when she built her company from nothing. When she stared down investors and competitors and anyone who told her she couldn't win. "All right," Marcus said finally. "What do you need?" "A secure connection, encrypted, and a list of every major news outlet, federal regulator, and law enforcement agency in the state." "That's going to take time." "Then we don't waste any." The next 6 hours were chaos. Marcus set up a secure network using equipment Nathan didn't recognize. Selena pulled up the files they'd recovered and started organizing them into a package that even a first-year law student could follow. Transaction records, account numbers, corporate filings, audio recordings of meetings where executives discussed laundering money through offshore accounts. It was all there, a smoking gun the size of a small country. Nathan helped where he could, but mostly he stayed with Lily, trying to keep her distracted while the adults planned something that felt a lot like suicide. "Daddy," Lily said at one point, looking up from her crayons. "Is Selena going to be okay?" Nathan didn't know how to answer that. "I hope so, baby. I like her." "Yeah, me too." "Is she going to stay with us?" Nathan's chest tightened. "I don't know." Yeah. Lily went back to drawing, but Nathan could see the worry in her face. The same worry he'd been carrying since the moment he pulled Selena out of the storm. By late afternoon, Marcus had the network running. Selena drafted an email, short, direct, devastating, and attached every file they'd recovered. Then she pulled up a list of recipients, news agencies, federal prosecutors, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the FBI. Over 200 addresses in total. "Once I send this, Selena said, "there's no going back." Marcus looked at her. "You sure about this?" "No." Selena's hand hovered over the keyboard. "But I'm doing it anyway." She hit send. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen filled with confirmation messages. Sent, sent, sent over and over until all 200 emails were gone, scattered across the country like grenades. Selena closed the laptop and stood. Her hands were shaking again, but her face was calm. "Now we wait," she said. They didn't have to wait long. 20 minutes later, Marcus's phone started ringing. He looked at the screen and swore. "It's the FBI." Nathan's blood went cold. "How did they traced the email." Marcus answered the call. "Grant." Nathan couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but he could see Marcus's expression shift from tense to alarmed. "Yes, she's safe," Marcus said. "No, I can't tell you where we are, because half your people are probably on Vaughn Technologies' payroll, that's why." There was a pause. Then Marcus's eyes went wide. "Say that again." Another pause. "When?" Marcus hung up and looked at Selena. "They're moving. The FBI just executed search warrants at Vaughn Technologies headquarters. They're seizing servers, documents, everything." Selena's face didn't change. "Good. Good? Selena, they're tearing your company apart. It's not my company anymore." Her voice was flat. "It's theirs, and they can burn with it." Nathan stepped forward. "What about us?" "Did the FBI say anything about—" "They want you both in protective custody. Said it's not safe out here." "They're right," Selena said. "It's not." As if on cue, the cabin's lights went out. The generator had been running since they arrived, a steady hum in the background. Now it was silent. The sudden darkness was complete, swallowing the room. "Marcus," Nathan said quietly, "I know." Marcus's voice was tight. He pulled a gun from somewhere Nathan hadn't seen and moved toward the window. "Stay down." Nathan grabbed Lily and pulled her close. Selena dropped to the floor next to them, her breathing fast but controlled. Outside, Nathan heard something. Footsteps. More than one person. Marcus peered through the window, then swore. 3 vehicles. 6 men, maybe more. They're surrounding the cabin. "How did they find us?" Selena demanded. "Doesn't matter." Marcus moved away from the window. Back door. Now. They ran. Marcus led the way, his gun up, his movements precise. Nathan carried Lily, her arms wrapped around his neck, her face buried in his shoulder. Selena was right behind them, her hand on Nathan's back like she was afraid he'd disappear. They reached the back door. Marcus checked the perimeter, then pushed it open. That's when the shooting started. The first shot shattered the window behind them. Glass exploded across the cabin. Nathan dropped to the floor, covering Lily with his body, his ears ringing. More shots followed, punching holes through the walls, splintering wood, and sending debris flying. "Go," Marcus shouted. "I'll cover you." Nathan didn't think. He just moved. He grabbed Lily and ran through the door into the trees, Selena right beside him. Behind them, Marcus returned fire, the sound deafening in the quiet of the forest. They ran through the underbrush, branches tearing at their clothes, the ground uneven and treacherous. Nathan's lungs burned. His legs screamed. But he didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because behind them, men were shouting and more gunfire erupted and Lily was crying into his shoulder. They reached a dirt road. Nathan didn't recognize it, didn't know where it led. He just picked a direction and kept running. That's when he heard the engine. A vehicle was coming up fast behind them, headlights cutting through the darkness. Nathan's heart sank. They were trapped. No cover, no options. He set Lily down and stepped in front of her, his body between her and whatever was coming. The vehicle stopped. The door opened. It was Marcus. "Get in!" he shouted. Nathan didn't question it. He shoved Lily into the back seat and climbed in after her. Selena jumped in the front. Marcus floored it before the doors were even closed, the vehicle fishtailing on the loose dirt. "What happened back there?" Selena demanded. "They had thermal scopes," Marcus said. "Military-grade equipment. These aren't corporate security. These are professionals. Who sent them?" "Who do you think?" Marcus took a sharp turn, the vehicle sliding sideways. "Your executives aren't playing around anymore. They're going for the kill." Nathan held Lily tight, his mind racing. They'd sent the files. The FBI was moving, but it didn't matter because the people hunting them weren't waiting for trials or investigations. They were ending this the old-fashioned way, with bullets. Marcus drove for 20 minutes, taking back roads and side streets Nathan couldn't track. Finally, he pulled into an abandoned industrial lot and killed the engine. They sat in the darkness, all of them breathing hard, the adrenaline still pumping. "We need a new plan," Marcus said. "The plan is still the same," Selena said. "We go to the FBI. They almost killed us. Almost doesn't count." Selena turned to look at him. "The FBI has the files now. They're executing warrants. The arrests are coming. We just need to stay alive long enough to see it through." "And how do we do that?" Nathan demanded. "These people have unlimited resources. They've got trained killers hunting us. We're running out of places to hide." "Then we stop hiding," Selena said. Marcus stared at her. "What are you talking about?" "Well, I'm talking about going on the offensive. They want me dead because I'm a threat. So let's make sure the whole world is watching when they try." Nathan's stomach twisted. "Selena, listen to me." She turned to face both of them, her eyes blazing. "Right now, every news agency in the country thinks I was kidnapped. They're running my story 24/7, so what if I show up? What if I walk into a press conference, alive and well, and tell everyone exactly what happened? They'll kill you the second you step into public," Marcus said. "Not if there are cameras everywhere. Not if I'm surrounded by federal agents and reporters and witnesses. That's insane. It's survival." Selena's voice was steel. "These people operate in the dark. They bribe officials, threaten witnesses, make people disappear. But they can't do any of that if the whole world is watching. So we drag them into the light, and we burn them there." Nathan looked at her, this woman who'd gone from freezing in a storm to declaring war on billionaires in less than a week. She was either the bravest person he'd ever met or the most reckless. Maybe both. "You really think that'll work?" Nathan asked. "I don't know," Selena admitted. "But I'm done running. I'm done letting them control the narrative. So yeah, I'm going to stand in front of every camera in the city and tell them what these bastards did. And if they want to kill me, they'll have to do it where everyone can see." Marcus rubbed his face. "This is the worst plan I've ever heard. You have a better one?" He didn't answer. Selena pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the FBI. I'm telling them I want to surrender. Publicly, tomorrow morning, federal building, full press conference." "Selena," Nathan started. "No, Nathan. This is happening because it's the only way to keep all of us safe, including Lily." Nathan's chest tightened. He looked down at his daughter, still clinging to him, her face pale and scared. She'd been through too much already, and Selena was right. This nightmare wouldn't end until the people responsible were in handcuffs. "All right," Nathan said quietly. "We do it your way." Selena nodded and dialed. The next 12 hours were a blur. The FBI agreed to Selena's terms, but only after she threatened to go to the press independently. They arranged for a convoy to pick them up at dawn and transport them to the federal building downtown. Full security detail. Armored vehicles, the works. Marcus spent the night coordinating with his contacts, making sure every major news outlet knew to be there. If Selena was going to do this, it needed to be a circus. The more cameras, the safer she'd be. Nathan tried to sleep, but couldn't. He sat with Lily in the back seat of Marcus's vehicle, watching the sun come up over the city skyline, wondering if this was the last sunrise he'd ever see. Selena sat in the front, staring at her phone. She'd been quiet since making the call, her face unreadable. "You okay?" Nathan asked. "No," Selena said. "But I will be." "You keep saying that." Because I keep believing it." Nathan wanted to believe it too, but belief was a luxury he'd lost somewhere between the first court date and the men with guns chasing them through the woods. At 6 in the morning, the FBI convoy arrived. 3 armored SUVs, black and intimidating, filled with agents wearing tactical gear. Special Agent Catherine Price stepped out of the lead vehicle, her expression all business. "Ms. Vaughn, Mr. Reed, time to go, T." They transferred into the convoy, Nathan carrying Lily, Selena walking beside him like she was heading into a board meeting instead of a potential execution. Marcus rode shotgun in the lead vehicle, his jaw tight. The drive into the city felt like a funeral procession. Every street they passed had cars pulling over, people staring, phones coming out to record. Word had spread fast. By the time they reached downtown, the sidewalks were packed with reporters, cameras, civilians. It looked like a parade, or a war zone. The federal building was surrounded by police barriers and armed guards. News vans lined the street, satellite dishes pointed at the sky. Nathan's hands were sweating. This was really happening. They pulled into the underground garage and got out. Price led them to an elevator, then up to the main floor where a press room had been set up. Nathan could hear the noise through the walls, voices, cameras clicking, the low roar of a crowd. Price stopped outside the door. "Miss Vaughn, once you step through that door, there's no going back. Every word you say will be recorded. Every claim you make will be scrutinized. Are you ready?" Selena straightened her shoulders. "I've been ready since they tried to kill me." Price nodded and pushed the door open. The room exploded with noise. Cameras flashed like lightning. Reporters shouted questions, their voices overlapping into chaos. Nathan stayed close to Selena, Lily pressed against his side, Marcus flanking them like a bodyguard. Selena walked to the podium at the front of the room. She stood there for a moment, letting the cameras capture her, letting the world see that she was alive. Then she raised a hand, and the room fell silent. "My name is Selena Vaughn," she said, her voice steady and clear. "And I'm here to tell you what really happened." She told them everything. The assassination attempt, the conspiracy, the money laundering operation that had been running through Vaughn Technologies for years, the executives who ordered her death when she discovered the truth, and Nathan Reed, the man who'd been framed and destroyed for trying to expose it. Nathan watched the reporters' faces shift from skepticism to shock to fury. Selena didn't hold back. She named names, showed evidence, played audio recordings that made the whole room go silent. By the time she finished, Nathan could see it in their eyes. They believed her. "I'm here today because a man I'd never met stopped on a highway in the middle of a storm and saved my life," Selena said, her voice cracking. "Nathan Reed had every reason to drive past me. He was drowning in debt, fighting a fraud case that could send him to prison, raising his daughter alone. But he stopped anyway. And because of that, we're both standing here." She turned and looked at Nathan. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. "These people tried to destroy him. They tried to destroy me. But they failed. Because we fought back. And now the world knows what they did." The room erupted again. Questions flew like bullets. Selena answered them all, calm and precise, never wavering. Nathan stood there holding Lily, watching a billionaire dismantle an empire in real time. It was the most terrifying thing he'd ever seen, and the most beautiful. 40 minutes later, Price pulled them out of the press room and led them to a secure conference area. Selena collapsed into a chair, her hands shaking, the adrenaline finally wearing off. "You did it," Nathan said. "We did it," Selena corrected. "This was never just me." Price's phone buzzed. She answered, listened, then hung up with a grim smile. "Federal prosecutors just filed charges against 4 Vaughn Technologies executives," she said. "Conspiracy, fraud, attempted murder. They're being arrested as we speak." Nathan felt the weight lift off his chest. Not all of it. but enough to breathe. What about me? Nathan asked. My case? Dropped, Price said. All charges dismissed. You're free, Mr. Reed. Nathan's legs went weak. He sat down hard, Lily climbing into his lap. Free. After 6 months of hell, after losing everything, after thinking his life was over, he was free. Selena reached over and took his hand. Told you. Yeah, Nathan said, his voice breaking. You did. They stayed in the conference room for another hour while the FBI processed paperwork and coordinated security. Outside, the world was exploding. News outlets were running Selena's statement on repeat. Social media was tearing the executives apart. Stock prices were crashing. Vaughn Technologies was in freefall. And somewhere in the city, 4 men in handcuffs were being dragged into federal custody, their empire reduced to rubble. Marcus walked in, his face tired but satisfied. It's over. The FBI has everything they need. The case is airtight. Selena nodded. Good. What happens now? Nathan asked. Now? Marcus shrugged. You rebuild, both of you. Nathan looked at Selena. She looked back at him. And for the first time since the storm, Nathan saw something in her eyes that wasn't fear or rage or exhaustion. Hope. We should get you two somewhere safe, Price said, at least until the dust settles. No, Selena said. I'm done hiding. I'm going home. Selena? I said no. Her voice was firm. These people don't control me anymore. They don't get to dictate where I go or how I live. I'm going home, and Nathan and Lily are coming with me. Nathan blinked. What? Selena turned to him. You can't go back to that apartment, not after everything that happened, and you shouldn't have to, so come stay with me just until you figure out what's next. Selena, I can't. Yes, you can. You saved my life, Nathan. Let me return the favor. Nathan wanted to argue, wanted to tell her he didn't need charity, but the truth was, he had nowhere else to go. The apartment was a crime scene. His truck was evidence. Everything he owned had been seized or destroyed. And Lily was looking at Selena with so much hope it made Nathan's chest ache. All right, Nathan said quietly. Just for a little while. Selena smiled. Just for a little while. They left the federal building through a side exit, avoiding the press swarm out front. Marcus drove them across the city to Selena's penthouse, a glass tower overlooking the river. Nathan had seen buildings like this in magazines, but he'd never imagined stepping foot inside one. The penthouse was massive, floor-to-ceiling windows, marble counters, furniture that probably cost more than Nathan's entire net worth. Lily's eyes went wide. Whoa, she whispered. You like it? Selena asked. It's like a castle. Kind of, but less cold. Selena showed them to the guest rooms, 2 of them, connected by a bathroom, bigger than Nathan's entire apartment had been. Lily ran from room to room, touching everything like she was afraid it might disappear. Nathan stood in the doorway, overwhelmed. Selena, this is too much. It's not enough, Selena said, but it's a start. She left them to settle in. Nathan sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the city lights outside the window, trying to process everything that had happened. A week ago, he'd been drowning. Now, he was in a billionaire's penthouse, his criminal record wiped clean, his daughter safe. It didn't feel real. Lily climbed into his lap. Daddy, are we staying here? For a little while, baby. I like Selena. I know, me too. Is she going to be okay now, Seth? Nathan thought about that. Selena had just destroyed her own company, exposed a conspiracy, and made herself a target for every corrupt executive who wanted revenge. But she'd also survived an assassination attempt, outsmarted billionaires, and brought down an empire. If anyone could rebuild from this, it was her. Yeah, Nathan said. I think she's going to be okay. Lily hugged him tight. Good, because I want her to stay with us. Nathan didn't know what to say to that, so he just held his daughter and looked out at the city and let himself believe, just for a moment, that maybe everything was going to be all right. The first morning in Selena's penthouse, Nathan woke up disoriented. The bed was too soft. The room was too quiet. For a panicked second, he thought he was still dreaming, still trapped in that nightmare where men with guns chased them through the dark. Then he heard Lily's voice drifting from somewhere down the hall, bright and happy, and reality settled back into place. He found them in the kitchen. Selena was standing at the stove, spatula in hand, staring down at a pan of what looked like scrambled eggs. Except the eggs were brown and smoking. "I don't understand." Selena was saying. "I followed the recipe exactly." "Maybe the stove's too hot," Lily suggested, sitting at the massive kitchen island with her chin propped on her hands. "The recipe didn't say anything about adjusting the temperature. Daddy always turns it down halfway through. That seems like important information that should have been included in the instructions." Nathan leaned against the doorway, fighting a smile. "You're burning breakfast." Selena jumped, nearly dropping the spatula. She turned and Nathan saw flour on her cheek and something that might have been butter in her hair. "I was trying to surprise you," she said. "Mission accomplished." Selena looked down at the pan, then back at Nathan, and something in her expression cracked. She started laughing, not the polite corporate laugh Nathan had heard her use with the FBI agents. A real laugh, messy and uncontrolled, the kind that shook her shoulders and made her eyes water. "I run $1 billion company," she said between gasps, "and I can't make scrambled eggs." "Ran," Nathan corrected gently. Past tense. The laughter stopped. Selena's smile faded. She set the spatula down carefully and turned off the stove. "Right," she said quietly. Past tense. Nathan felt like an idiot. "I didn't mean—" "No, you're right." Selena wiped her hands on a towel. "Vaughn Technologies is gone. Or it will be, after the trial. Everything I built for the last 10 years, just gone." Lily slid off her stool and walked over to Selena. She took her hand and squeezed it. "It's okay," Lily said. "You still have us." Selena looked down at the 8-year-old holding her hand, and Nathan watched something break open in her chest. She knelt down so she was eye level with Lily. "Yeah," Selena said, her voice rough. "I do." Nathan cleared his throat. "How about I make breakfast?" "I'd appreciate that," Selena said, "before I burn down my own kitchen." The eggs Nathan made weren't fancy, but they were edible. They ate together at the kitchen island, the three of them crammed onto one side like they were afraid to spread out in all that space. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city stretched out below them, oblivious to the fact that 3 people who'd nearly died a week ago were eating breakfast 40 stories up. "What happens now?" Nathan asked. Selena picked at her eggs. "I have to testify. Grand jury first, then trial if it gets that far. The FBI says it'll be at least 6 months before everything's settled. And after that, I don't know." She set her fork down. "The company's being dissolved, assets liquidated, shareholders are filing lawsuits. My lawyers say I'll be lucky if I walk away with anything." Nathan stared at her. "You could lose everything?" "Most of it, probably. The executives I exposed weren't the only ones involved. Turns out half my board knew what was happening, and since I'm the CEO, I'm liable for what happened under my watch, even if I didn't know about it." "That's not fair." Selena laughed, bitter and tired. "Fair doesn't mean anything when you're dealing with lawyers and billionaires, Nathan. It just means whoever has the most expensive legal team wins." Lily was watching them with big eyes, not understanding half of what they were saying, but picking up on the weight of it. "Does that mean you'll be poor like us?" Lily asked. Selena smiled, sad and genuine. "Maybe not quite that poor, but closer than I've been in a long time." "That's okay," Lily said. "Being poor isn't so bad. You just have to be creative." Nathan's chest tightened. His 8-year-old daughter had learned to be poor the way other kids learned piano, through repetition and necessity and no other choice. "Lily, sweetheart," Nathan said, "why don't you go watch TV for a bit? I need to talk to Selena." Lily hopped down and ran off. The second she was gone, Nathan turned to Selena. "You don't have to do this," he said. "Do what?" "Let us stay here. Take care of us. You've already done enough." "Nathan!" "I'm serious. You saved my life. Got my charges dropped. Gave us a place to stay when we had nowhere else to go. But we're not your responsibility." Selena's jaw tightened. "Is that what you think this is? Responsibility? What else would it be?" "Maybe I want you here." Her voice cracked. Maybe for the first time in 10 years. I don't want to be alone in this apartment, staring at walls and wondering what the hell I built everything for. Nathan went quiet. I spent a decade chasing success, Selena continued, building an empire, making money, proving I was worth something. And you know what I have to show for it? A company that's being dissolved, a reputation that's destroyed, and an apartment so big I can go days without seeing another human being. Selena, ski, Tom Chum. But then I met you and Lily. And for the first time since I was 18 years old, I felt like maybe I was worth something without the money, without the company, without any of it. She looked at him, her eyes wet. So no, Nathan, you're not my responsibility. You're the only good thing that's happened to me in years. Nathan didn't know what to say to that. He'd spent so long thinking of himself as a burden, a failure, a man who couldn't even keep his own life together. The idea that someone like Selena Vaughn would see him as anything else felt impossible. I'm not good at this, Nathan said quietly. People depending on me. I can barely keep myself and Lily afloat. Ma'am, sin. You kept her alive, Selena said. You kept her fed and safe and loved while the whole world was trying to destroy you. That's not barely, Nathan. That's everything. It doesn't feel like everything. It feels like I'm drowning and dragging her down with me. You're not drowning. You're surviving. There's a difference. Nathan wanted to believe her, but belief was hard when you'd spent 6 months convinced you were going to prison, when you'd watched men with guns chase your daughter through the woods, when everything you'd built had collapsed, and the only reason you were still standing was because a woman you barely knew had decided you were worth saving. I don't know how to do this, Nathan admitted. Live here, accept help, be anything other than the guy who works 16-hour shifts just to make rent. Then learn, Selena said. We'll figure it out together. Over the next 2 weeks, they fell into a rhythm that felt both natural and surreal. Nathan woke up early, made breakfast while Selena worked through legal documents at the dining table. Lily started at a new school nearby, one of those private places Nathan never would have been able to afford, but Selena enrolled her without asking. Nathan wanted to protest, but Lily loved it. She came home every day talking about art classes and science labs and a music room that had actual instruments. Nathan spent his days looking for work. Construction companies weren't hiring, not when his face had been plastered across every news channel in the state. He tried applying under a different name, but background checks caught him every time. Turns out being wrongfully accused of fraud still showed up on records, even after the charges were dropped. Selena noticed. Of course she noticed. You've been filling out applications all week, she said one evening, sitting down next to him on the couch. Any luck? No. Nathan closed his laptop harder than necessary. Nobody wants to hire the guy who was accused of stealing $2 million. Doesn't matter that I was innocent. What do you want to do? If you could do anything? Nathan laughed bitterly. I'm a construction worker, Selena. That's all I know how to do. That's not true. You managed an entire IT infrastructure before they framed you. You troubleshot servers, ran diagnostics, built networks from scratch. Yeah, and look how that turned out. It turned out with you exposing one of the largest corporate fraud cases in the state. Selena's voice was firm. Nathan, you have skills, real skills. You just need someone willing to give you a chance. And who's going to do that? Me. Nathan stared at her. What? I'm starting a new company. Something small, consulting work, helping businesses secure their infrastructure. And I need someone who knows how to find the holes in a system, someone who can spot fraud before it happens. She looked at him. Someone like you. Selena, I can't. Why not? Because I'm not qualified. I barely finished community college. I don't have certifications or degrees or any of the things you need to work in tech. You have experience. You have instincts, and you have integrity, which is worth more than any degree. Selena's expression softened. Nathan, you found a massive conspiracy running through my company when dozens of auditors and analysts missed it. You think that's not valuable? Nathan wanted to argue, wanted to tell her he was just some guy who got lucky. But the truth was, he'd always been good with computers, good at seeing patterns, spotting inconsistencies. He just never had the chance to do anything with it. What would the job even look like, Nathan asked. Contract work, initially. I've got 3 clients lined up already, small businesses who want their systems audited. You'd review their infrastructure, identify vulnerabilities, make recommendations. $25 an hour to start. Nathan's breath caught. $25 an hour. That was almost double what he'd been making in construction. When would I start? Tomorrow, if you want. Nathan looked at her, this woman who'd already given him so much, and wondered how he'd ever repay her. Why are you doing this? Nathan asked. Because you stopped, Selena said simply. In the storm, when you had every reason to keep driving, and I'm never going to stop being grateful for that. The next morning, Nathan started work. Selena set him up in one of the spare rooms she'd converted into an office, gave him a laptop and access to the client files. The first audit took him 3 days. He found 6 major vulnerabilities and a dozen smaller ones. The client was so impressed they referred 2 more businesses. Within a month, Nathan had a steady stream of work. Nothing glamorous, nothing that would make him rich, but honest work that paid the bills and let him sleep at night. Lily thrived. She made friends at school, joined the art club, started bringing home paintings she'd made in class. Nathan hung them all over his room, covering the bare walls with dragons and castles and stick figure families that always included 3 people. Selena changed too. Slowly. The sharp edges softened. The corporate mask cracked. Nathan would come home from client meetings and find her in the kitchen, attempting to cook dinner with varying degrees of success. One night, she set off the smoke alarm making pasta. Another night, she somehow turned rice into cement. But she kept trying, and Nathan kept teaching her, and somewhere in all that chaos, they started to feel like something that might have been a family. Except Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that it was temporary. That one day Selena would wake up and realize she didn't need them anymore. That she'd go back to her billionaire life and Nathan and Lily would be footnotes in a story she told at dinner parties. The thought kept him up at night. It was Marcus who finally called him on it. You're sabotaging yourself, Marcus said one afternoon. He'd stopped by to drop off some security equipment, and Nathan had made the mistake of being honest when Marcus asked how he was doing. I'm not sabotaging anything, Nathan said. Yes, you are. You're waiting for this to end, waiting for Selena to get tired of playing house and kick you out. That's not... Nathan, I've known Selena for 8 years, and I've never seen her like this. Happy, settled, actually living instead of just existing. Nathan looked away. She deserves better than me. Better how? You think she needs someone with more money, more status? Someone who didn't grow up in the system and claw their way out the same way she did? Marcus crossed his arms. Nathan, you're the first person in her life who wants her, not what she can give them. Don't throw that away because you think you're not good enough. I'm not good enough. Says who, you? Marcus shook his head. Man, you raised a kid alone while fighting fraud charges and working 16-hour days. You kept her fed, safe, and loved. You exposed a criminal conspiracy and survived assassination attempts. And you did it all without asking for help because you thought you didn't deserve it. He leaned forward. You're one of the toughest guys I've ever met. So stop telling yourself you're not good enough and start believing what everyone else already sees. Nathan didn't have an answer for that. That night, Selena made dinner. Or tried to. Nathan came home to find her standing in the kitchen surrounded by vegetables she'd cut into shapes that didn't quite match the recipe. I'm making stir-fry, she announced. I can see that. It's going terribly. I can see that too. Selena threw the spatula into the sink. I don't understand. I've managed multi-million-dollar budgets. I've overseen teams of hundreds. Why can't I cook a simple meal? Because cooking isn't about managing, it's about feeling. You can't strategize your way through stir-fry. That's terrible advice, but it's true. Selena looked at the disaster in the pan, then at Nathan, and started laughing again. That real laugh that made Nathan's chest ache. Help me, she said. Nathan stepped up beside her. He took the spatula and showed her how to move the vegetables, how to know when they were done, how to trust her instincts instead of the recipe. They stood there side by side, shoulders touching, and Nathan felt something shift between them. It had been building for weeks. The way Selena's hand would brush his when she passed him coffee in the morning. The way she'd look at him when she thought he wasn't paying attention. The way Lily had started calling her Aunt Selena and asking when she was going to move into Daddy's room. "Nathan," Selena said quietly. He looked at her. She was staring down at the pan, but her voice was shaking. "I need to tell you something." "Okay." "I'm scared." Nathan turned off the stove. "Of what?" "Of this. Of us. Of whatever this is turning into." She finally looked at him. "I've spent my whole life being alone, being independent, not needing anyone. And now I need you and Lily, and it terrifies me." Nathan's heart was pounding. Why? Because what if I mess it up? What if I'm not good at this? "I don't know how to be part of a family, Nathan. I grew up in foster care. I've never had this before." "Neither have I," Nathan said. "Not really. Lily's mom left when she was 6 months old. I've been figuring it out as I go for 8 years. And I still don't know what I'm doing half the time. But you're good at it. You're a good father. And you're good at this. At being here. At caring." Nathan reached out and took her hand. "Selena, you're not messing anything up. You're making it better." She was crying now, quiet tears running down her face. "I don't want to lose this." "You're not going to." "How do you know?" "Because I'm not going anywhere." Nathan squeezed her hand. "Unless you want me to." "I don't." Her voice cracked. "I really don't." They stood there in the kitchen, the stir-fry forgotten, the city lights glittering outside the windows. Nathan knew he should say something, should tell her how he felt, but the words stuck in his throat, tangled up with years of feeling like he didn't deserve good things. It was Selena who closed the distance. She kissed him, soft and uncertain, like she was afraid he might pull away. Nathan didn't pull away. He kissed her back, one hand coming up to cup her face, and felt something in his chest that had been locked tight for years finally crack open. When they pulled apart, Selena was smiling through her tears. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," she admitted. "Yeah," Nathan said. "Me too." "So what now?" "Now?" Nathan looked at the ruined stir-fry, then back at Selena. "Now we order pizza and figure the rest out as we go." Selena laughed. "That's your plan?" "I don't have plans anymore. I just have this. You and Lily and whatever comes next." "That's terrifying." "I know. And completely insane. Probably. And the best thing I've heard in years." Nathan kissed her again, and this time neither of them was afraid. The next few months were messy and complicated, and nothing like Nathan had imagined his life would look. Selena testified at the trial. Nathan sat in the gallery every day, watching her dismantle the executives who'd tried to kill her with the same precision she'd once used to build her company. The verdicts came back guilty on all counts. 20 years minimum for each of them. Vaughn Technologies was officially dissolved. Selena walked away with a fraction of what she'd built, but enough to start over. She opened her consulting firm officially, brought Nathan on as a partner, and they started building something new. Something smaller, but theirs. Nathan moved out of the guest room. Not into Selena's room, neither of them was ready for that yet, but into a space that felt less temporary. More like home. Lily turned 9. They threw her a party in the penthouse, invited her new school friends, and Nathan watched his daughter blow out candles on a cake Selena had attempted to bake, and Marcus had secretly replaced with one from a bakery. "This is nice," Marcus said, standing next to Nathan while Lily opened presents. "Yeah," Nathan agreed. "It is. You happy?" "Oh." Nathan thought about that. Happy felt like a big word, like something he didn't deserve to claim yet. But when he looked at Lily laughing with her friends, and Selena trying to organize a game that was already descending into chaos, Nathan felt something close. "Getting there," Nathan said, and for the first time in years, he believed it. One night, a few weeks after Lily's birthday, Nathan woke up to find Selena sitting on the couch in the living room, staring out at the city. She was wearing one of his old t-shirts and sweatpants, her hair messy, her face bare. She looked nothing like the billionaire CEO who dominated boardrooms and magazine covers. She looked real. Nathan sat down next to her. "Can't sleep?" "Just thinking." "About what?" Selena was quiet for a moment. Then she turned to look at him. "About how a year ago I had everything, money, power, success, and I was miserable. And now I have almost nothing, and I've never been happier." Nathan took her hand. You don't have nothing. I know. She squeezed his fingers. I have you. And Lily, and this strange little life we're building that doesn't look like anything I planned. Is that a good thing? Yeah, Selena said. It's the best thing. They sat there in the dark, the city glittering below them, and Nathan thought about how strange life was. How he'd stopped in a storm for a stranger and ended up here, in a penthouse with a woman he was falling in love with, and a daughter who finally felt safe. It wasn't perfect. Selena still had nightmares about the assassination attempt. Nathan still woke up in a panic sometimes, convinced the FBI was at the door. Lily still asked questions about why they'd had to leave their old apartment, and Nathan still didn't know how to answer. But they were here, together, building something that felt real in a way Nathan had never experienced before. Nathan, Selena said quietly. Yeah? Thank you. For stopping. For everything after. Nathan pulled her closer. You already thanked me. About 100 times. I know, but I'm going to keep saying it, because you didn't just save my life that night. You gave me a reason to rebuild it. Nathan kissed the top of her head. You did the same for me. They stayed there until the sun came up, watching the city wake, and neither of them said what they were both thinking, that this was it. This was the life they'd fought for. And whatever came next, they'd face it together. 3 months after the trial ended, Nathan stood in the middle of an empty auto garage on the east side of the city, trying to decide if he was making the biggest mistake of his life. The place was a disaster. Broken windows, cracked concrete floor, equipment that looked like it hadn't been touched since the 90s. But the bones were good. The lift still worked. The bay doors opened, and the rent was cheap enough that Nathan could actually afford it. You're really doing this? Marcus asked, standing in the doorway with his arms crossed. I think so, Nathan said. Maybe. I don't know. That's reassuring. Nathan walked over to one of the workbenches and ran his hand along the dusty surface. He'd been doing IT consulting with Selena for 6 months now, and the work was good, steady. But every time he sat down at a computer, he felt like he was pretending to be someone he wasn't. He'd spent 15 years working with his hands, building things, fixing things. And as much as he appreciated what Selena had given him, Nathan missed the smell of motor oil and the satisfaction of taking apart an engine and putting it back together better than it was before. What does Selena think? Marcus asked. She told me to do whatever makes me happy. And this makes you happy? Nathan looked around the garage, at the broken windows and the rusted tools and the years of neglect. He should have been terrified, should have been thinking about all the ways this could fail. But instead, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Excited. Yeah, Nathan said. It does. Marcus nodded slowly. Then you should do it. Just like that? Just like that. Life's too short to spend it doing work that doesn't matter to you. Nathan wanted to argue, wanted to list all the reasons this was a bad idea. He had no business plan, no investors, no safety net. But the truth was, he'd spent the last year surviving impossible odds. Opening an auto garage suddenly didn't seem that scary. I'm going to need help, Nathan said. I know a guy who does small business loans, vet-owned. He'll give you a fair rate. I don't know if I can afford it. Nathan, Marcus's voice was firm. Stop assuming you can't afford things. You've got steady income now, credit that's been cleared, and a business plan that actually makes sense. You're not that broke construction worker anymore, so stop acting like you are. Nathan absorbed that. It was strange, realizing that somewhere between the trial and now, his life had stabilized. He wasn't rich, probably never would be, but he wasn't drowning anymore either. He could breathe, and that was enough. All right, Nathan said, set up the meeting. 2 weeks later, Nathan signed a lease on the garage. 1 week after that, Lily helped him paint the walls while Selena attempted to organize an inventory system and somehow made it more complicated than it needed to be. They worked through the weekend, the three of them covered in paint and dust and laughing at mistakes that would have made Nathan panic a year ago. On Monday morning, Nathan opened the garage for business. He'd put up a simple sign outside. Reed Auto Repair. Honest work. Fair prices. The first customer showed up an hour later. An older woman with a sedan that wouldn't start. Nathan diagnosed the problem in 10 minutes, corroded battery terminals, and had her back on the road for $30. She paid him in cash and told him she'd recommend him to her church group. By the end of the week, Nathan had 6 more customers. By the end of the month, he had a waiting list. Turns out, people appreciated a mechanic who didn't talk down to them, who explained what was wrong in plain language and didn't charge for work that didn't need to be done. Nathan built his reputation one car at a time, and slowly, the garage started to feel less like a risk and more like home. Selena's consulting business grew too. She landed a major contract with a mid-sized tech firm that needed their security infrastructure overhauled. The work was demanding, but Selena thrived on it. Nathan would come home from the garage to find her surrounded by papers and laptops, her hair pulled back, her face intense with focus. She looked nothing like the woman who'd collapsed in the storm. She looked alive. Lily turned 10. They celebrated with a small party at the garage. Nathan had cleaned out one of the bays and set up tables, and invited Lily's school friends and misses. Chen and Marcus and a handful of customers who'd become something close to family. Selena made cupcakes. They were lopsided and the frosting was too sweet, but Lily ate 3 of them anyway. "This is perfect," Lily said, sitting on the hood of a car Nathan was working on, her legs swinging. "Yeah?" Nathan asked. "Yeah, I like it here. It smells like Daddy." Nathan laughed. "I smell like motor oil." "I know, it's nice." Selena walked over, wiping frosting off her hands. "You two planning to help clean up or just supervise?" "Supervise," Lily said seriously. "It's important work." "Very important," Nathan agreed. Selena rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. She'd smiled a lot more in the last 6 months. The nightmares had faded. The fear had loosened its grip. She still had hard days, days when the weight of losing her company hit her, when the trial memories resurfaced, when she wondered if she'd made the right choices. But those days were getting rarer. And when they came, Nathan was there. That night, after everyone had left and Lily was asleep in the apartment above the garage that Nathan had been slowly renovating, Selena found him in the shop, cleaning up. "You're thinking about something," she said. "How can you tell? You get this look, like you're trying to solve a problem you can't see." Nathan set down the wrench he'd been organizing. "I've been thinking about the penthouse." Selena's expression shifted. "What about it?" It's yours. And it's beautiful. But it's not. Us." "What do you mean?" Nathan struggled to find the words. "I mean, I appreciate you letting us stay there, but Lily and we're not penthouse people, and I don't think we ever will be." Selena was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "I know." "You do?" "Oops. Yeah, I've known for a while." She walked over and sat on one of the workbenches. "Honestly, I'm not a penthouse person either. Not anymore. I bought that place to prove something. To myself. To the people who told me I'd never make it. But it's just a building. It doesn't mean anything." "So what do we do?" Selena looked around the garage, at the apartment above it that Nathan had been turning into something livable. "What if we stayed here?" Nathan blinked. "Here? The apartment's almost finished, right? 3 bedrooms? Enough space for all of us. And you're here most days anyway. Selena, you can't live above an auto garage." "Why not?" "Because you're—" Nathan stopped himself. "What? Rich?" Selena's voice was sharp. "Nathan, I'm not rich anymore. I'm comfortable. There's a difference. And I'd rather be comfortable here with you and Lily than alone in that penthouse." "What about your consulting business? Don't you need the office space?" "I'll rent a small office downtown, something practical." She reached out and took his hand. "Nathan, I spent 10 years building a life I thought I wanted, and it took losing all of it to realize what actually matters. So if you're asking if I want to move into an apartment above a garage with you and Lily, the answer is yes. Absolutely yes." Nathan stared at her. "You're serious?" "Completely." "This is insane." "Probably." Selena smiled. "But so was stopping for a stranger in a storm, and that worked out pretty well." Nathan pulled her closer and kissed her. It still felt surreal sometimes, that this woman who'd run a billion-dollar empire was choosing a life with him. But the doubt was quieter now. The insecurity was fading, because Selena had proven over and over that she wasn't going anywhere. "All right, Nathan said. "Let's do it." They moved out of the penthouse a month later. Selena sold it for a fraction of what it was worth, and didn't seem to care. The apartment above the garage was cramped compared to 40 floors of luxury, but it felt more like home within the first week. Lily decorated her room with her drawings and the dragon mobile Nathan had built her. Selena turned one of the bedrooms into an office. Nathan finally moved into the master bedroom with Selena, and neither of them pretended it was temporary anymore. The consulting business kept growing. Nathan split his time between the garage and helping Selena with security audits. It was exhausting, but good exhausting. The kind that came from building something instead of just surviving. One night in late fall, Nathan came upstairs to find Selena sitting at the kitchen table with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. "What's this?" Nathan asked. "An anniversary," Selena said. "Of what?" "1 year, since you pulled me out of that storm." Nathan sat down across from her. Had it really been a year? It felt like a lifetime ago and yesterday all at once. Selena poured wine into both glasses and slid one to Nathan. "I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" "About how none of this should have worked. On paper, we're a disaster. A billionaire who lost her company and a single dad who was facing prison. We had nothing in common, no reason to trust each other, every reason to walk away." "But we didn't," Nathan said. "No, we didn't." Selena took a sip of wine. "And I've been trying to figure out why. What made you stop that night? What made you risk everything for someone you didn't know?" Nathan thought about it. He'd asked himself the same question 100 times over the last year. "I don't know," Nathan said honestly. "I should have kept driving. I was exhausted, broke, late getting home to Lily. But when I saw you standing there in the rain, I couldn't. It wasn't even a decision, really. It was just instinct. Instinct to help, I guess." Selena set her glass down. "You know what I think? I think there are 2 kinds of people in the world. People who see someone in trouble and think about what it'll cost them to help. And people who see someone in trouble and don't think at all. They just stop." Nathan shifted uncomfortably. "I'm not special, Selena. I just did what anyone would do." "No, you didn't. Because most people wouldn't have stopped. Most people would have driven past and told themselves it wasn't their problem, that they had their own struggles, that helping a stranger wasn't worth the risk." Geez, her voice cracked. "But you stopped, and you kept stopping. When I told you people were trying to kill me, when you found out your case was connected to mine, when we were being hunted by professionals with guns. You could have walked away at any point, but you didn't." "Neither did you," Nathan said quietly. "You risked your empire to save me, testified against your own company, gave up everything you'd built. Why?" Selena was quiet for a long moment. "Because for the first time in my life, someone saw me as a person instead of a bank account, and I couldn't let that go." They sat there in the small kitchen above the garage, drinking wine and talking about all the ways their lives had shattered and rebuilt themselves. About the executives who were serving 20-year sentences, about Vaughn Technologies being sold off piece by piece, about the new life they were building that looked nothing like either of them had imagined. "Do you regret it?" Nathan asked. "Losing the company?" Selena considered that. "Sometimes. I spent 10 years building Vaughn Technologies. It was my identity, my purpose, and losing it felt like losing myself." She looked at Nathan. "But then I remember what I gained. You, Lily, this life. And I realized I didn't lose myself. I found myself." Nathan reached across the table and took her hand. "I don't think I've told you this enough. But thank you for fighting for me, for us, for believing I was worth saving when I didn't believe it myself." "You don't have to thank me, Nathan." "Yeah, I do, because you gave me something I'd never had before, a partner. Someone who wasn't just willing to survive with me, but actually build something with me." Selena's eyes were wet. "You gave me that too." They finished the wine and went to bed, and for the first time in years, neither of them had nightmares. Winter came. The garage stayed busy. Lily excelled at school. Selena landed another major contract. And slowly, without Nathan quite noticing when it happened, the life they'd built stopped feeling fragile. It started feeling permanent. It was Marcus who brought up the question Nathan had been avoiding. "When are you going to propose?" Marcus asked one Saturday afternoon. He'd stopped by the garage to help Nathan with a transmission job that required an extra set of hands. Nathan nearly dropped the wrench. "What?" "You heard me. When are you going to propose?" We're not. Nathan stopped. We've only been together a year. A year where you fought off assassins, took down a criminal empire, and rebuilt your entire lives from scratch. I think that counts for more than most people's entire marriages. Nathan wiped his hands on a rag. It's not that simple. Why not? Because Selena's been through hell. She lost everything. The last thing she needs is me pressuring her into something she's not ready for. Marcus gave him a look. Have you asked if she's ready? No. Then how do you know? Nathan didn't have an answer for that. That night, Nathan couldn't sleep. He lay in bed next to Selena, listening to her breathe, and thought about Marcus's question. The truth was, Nathan had been thinking about marriage for months, not because he needed a piece of paper to prove what they had, but because he wanted Selena to know, really know, that he was all in, that this wasn't temporary, that he was choosing her every day for the rest of his life. But fear kept stopping him. Fear that he wasn't enough, that Selena would wake up one day and realize she'd settled for a mechanic when she could have had anyone, that the gap between who they'd been, a billionaire CEO and a broke construction worker, was too wide to ever really bridge. You're thinking too loud, Selena mumbled beside him. Sorry. She rolled over and opened her eyes. What's wrong? Nothing. Go back to sleep. Nathan. He sighed. There was no hiding from her anymore. Marcus asked me when I'm going to propose. Selena went very still. And what did you say? I said I don't know. Why not? Because I'm terrified. Selena propped herself up on one elbow. Of what? Of not being enough. Of you waking up one day and realizing you made a mistake. Nathan, I'm serious, Selena. Look at us. Look at where you came from and where I came from. You built an empire. I can barely keep a garage running. You're brilliant and successful, and you could have anyone. And I'm just... The man I love, Selena said firmly. Nathan, you're not just anything. You're the person who stopped in a storm when no one else would, who fought for me when it would have been easier to walk away, who showed me what it means to be part of a family. Her voice broke. You think I settled? Nathan, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Nathan's throat was tight. I don't know how to do this. The proposal, the marriage, all of it. I've never been good at this stuff. There is no good at it. There's just two people deciding they want to build a life together. Selena took his hand. And we've already been doing that for a year. So you'd say yes? Nathan asked. If I asked? Selena smiled through her tears. Why don't you try and find out? Nathan's heart was pounding. This wasn't how he'd imagined it. No ring, no plan, just the two of them in bed in an apartment above a garage at 2 a.m. But maybe that was perfect, because their entire relationship had been built on moments that didn't make sense on paper, but felt right in practice. Selena Vaughn, Nathan said, his voice shaking. Will you marry me? Yes, Selena said immediately. Yes, absolutely, yes. Nathan pulled her close and kissed her, and something in his chest that had been clenched tight for years finally let go. He'd spent so long believing he didn't deserve good things, that happiness was for other people. But lying there with Selena in his arms, Nathan finally understood what Marcus had been trying to tell him. He was enough. He'd always been enough. They told Lily the next morning. She screamed so loud the neighbors probably heard her 3 blocks away, then insisted on drawing them a wedding poster that featured a dragon wearing a tuxedo. When's the wedding? Lily asked. We haven't figured that out yet, Selena said. Can I be the flower girl? Obviously. Can Marcus walk you down the aisle? Selena's expression softened. Yeah, baby. I think he'd like that. They kept the engagement quiet for a few weeks, just the 3 of them and Marcus and Mrs. Chen. But eventually, word got out. One of Nathan's customers saw the ring on Selena's finger, and suddenly everyone wanted to know when and where and how big the wedding would be. What do you want? Nathan asked Selena one night. They were sitting on the couch, planning a wedding neither of them knew how to organize. Small, Selena said immediately. Just the people who matter, no press, no spectacle. What about the location? Selena thought about it. Then she looked at Nathan with a small smile. I want to go back, she said. Back where? To the highway, where we met. Nathan stared at her. You want to get married on the side of the road? Not on the road, but nearby. There's that overlook about a mile past where you found me, the one that looks out over the valley. Her voice was quiet. I want to get married where our story started, where you stopped when no one else would have. Nathan's chest tightened. Are you sure? Completely. That's the most ridiculous wedding location I've ever heard. I know. Selena grinned. But it's ours. Is us. They got married 3 months later on a clear spring morning. The overlook was exactly as Selena remembered. A small pullout on the highway with a view of the valley below, the mountains in the distance. They'd rented a tent in case of rain, but the weather held. Marcus walked Selena down a makeshift aisle. Lily scattered flower petals and somehow got them in her hair. Mrs. Chen cried through the entire ceremony. Nathan stood at the front, watching Selena walk toward him, and thought about the night he'd almost driven past her. How close he'd come to making a different choice. How easily this entire life could have never happened. But he had stopped, and she had trusted him, and together they'd built something neither of them could have imagined. The officiant, a friend of Marcus's, kept the ceremony short. When it came time for vows, Nathan's hands were shaking. I don't have anything fancy prepared, Nathan said. I'm not good with words, but I need you to know something. He looked at Selena. 1.5 years ago, I was drowning. I thought my life was over. I thought I was going to lose everything. And then I stopped on a highway in the middle of a storm. And I found you. And you saved me, Selena. Not just from the people trying to hurt us. You saved me from believing I wasn't worth anything, that I didn't deserve happiness, that I was just a guy who'd never be more than the sum of his mistakes. His voice cracked. You showed me I was wrong, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that stopping for you was the best decision I ever made. Selena was crying openly now. She took a shaky breath and looked at Nathan. I've spent most of my life alone, Selena said, building walls, keeping people out, believing that success and money were the same as being safe. And then one night, in the worst moment of my life, a stranger stopped. A stranger who had every reason not to, who was exhausted and broke and fighting his own battles. But he stopped anyway. She squeezed Nathan's hands. And you didn't just save my life that night, Nathan. You taught me what it means to be human, to be vulnerable, to trust someone with the messy, broken parts of yourself and believe they won't walk away. And I'm never going to stop being grateful that you stopped, that you stayed, that you chose me even when you didn't have to. They exchanged rings. Simple bands, nothing fancy. The officiant pronounced them married. Nathan kissed Selena while their small crowd of friends and family cheered, and for a moment, the whole world was just the two of them and the promise they'd made. After the ceremony, they had dinner at a small restaurant nearby. Nothing elaborate, just good food and better company. Lily gave a toast that mostly consisted of dragon facts and made everyone laugh. Marcus gave a toast that made Selena cry. Mrs. Chen gave a toast in Mandarin that no one understood but everyone felt. When it was over, Nathan and Selena drove back to the garage. Lily was spending the night at Mrs. Chen's, giving them the apartment to themselves. They walked upstairs still in their wedding clothes and stood in the kitchen that had become their kitchen, in the home that had become their home. We did it, Selena said. Yes, Nathan agreed. We did. I'm terrified. Nathan laughed. Me too. Good. As long as we're terrified together. They changed out of their wedding clothes and sat on the couch, the same couch where they'd had 100 conversations over the last 1.5 years. The city lights glowed through the windows. Somewhere below, the garage sat quiet and dark, waiting for Monday when work would start again. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? Selena asked. If you'd driven past me that night? All the time, Nathan admitted. Me too. Selena rested her head on his shoulder. I was so angry that night, at the people who tried to kill me, at myself for not seeing it coming, at the universe for putting me in that situation. And then you stopped, and everything changed. You changed it, Nathan said. You could have walked away after that first morning, gone back to your life, but you stayed. You fought for me. We fought for each other. Nathan pulled her closer. Yeah, we did. They sat in the dark, thinking about storms and highways and the strange way life pushed people together when they needed each other most. Neither of them said what they were both feeling, that this was it. This was the life they'd fought for, and it wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. But it was real, and it was theirs, and that was more than either of them had ever hoped to have. The years that followed weren't easy. Nathan's garage had slow months and financial scares. Selena's consulting business faced competition and client conflicts. Lily struggled with anxiety that Nathan and Selena worked through with her, slowly, patiently. They fought sometimes, the way all couples do, about money and time and how to navigate a blended family that didn't fit any traditional mold. But they stayed. Through the hard months and the scary moments and the times when it would have been easier to walk away. Because that's what love was, Nathan learned. Not the fairy tale version where everything worked out smoothly. The real version where two broken people chose each other every day and built something stronger than either of them could have built alone. 5 years after the wedding, they bought a small house with a lake view about an hour outside the city. Nothing fancy. Just a place with enough room for Lily to have friends over, and for Selena to have a real office, and for Nathan to have a workshop. They kept the garage running, but Nathan hired help, so he wasn't working 80-hour weeks anymore. Selena's firm grew to 15 employees, then 30. They were comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. Lily turned 16 and got her driver's license. Nathan taught her to change her oil and check her tires, and all the things he wished someone had taught him at that age. She wanted to be an artist, she said. Maybe a teacher. Something that let her help people. Like you and Selena, Lily said one afternoon, sitting in the garage while Nathan worked on her car. What do you mean? You help people. She helps companies stay safe. You fix their cars so they can get to work. It's the same thing, really, just different ways of making people's lives better. Nathan looked at his daughter, not so little anymore, and felt that familiar ache in his chest. Pride mixed with terror, mixed with love so fierce it hurt. When did you get so smart? Nathan asked. Lily grinned. I learned from the best. Masaram. That night Nathan told Selena what Lily had said. They were sitting on the porch of their lake house, watching the sun set over the water. It was one of those perfect evenings that felt almost too good to be real. She's right, Selena said. We did build something good, both of us. Yeah, Nathan agreed. We did. Do you ever think about how it started? That night in the storm? Sometimes, Nathan said, but mostly I think about this, right now, the life we have. Selena took his hand. Me too. They sat there until the stars came out, and Nathan thought about all the ways his life had fallen apart before it fell back together, about the storm that had nearly destroyed him, and the woman who'd survived it with him, about the choice he'd made to stop when every rational part of his brain had told him to keep driving. And he realized something. The richest thing he'd ever found wasn't money or success or any of the things people spent their lives chasing. It was this. A hand to hold, a family to come home to, a partner who chose him every day, even when he was difficult or scared or doubting himself. That was wealth, the kind that mattered, the kind that lasted. When people asked Nathan about the storm, and they did occasionally, especially after the trial became public record, he always told them the same thing, that he didn't do anything special, that anyone would have stopped. But the truth was simpler and harder than that. Most people wouldn't have stopped. Most people would have driven past and convinced themselves it wasn't their problem. And Nathan understood that now, because stopping costs something, time, risk, the willingness to let someone else's crisis become yours. But it also gave something back. Connection, purpose, the chance to be part of someone else's story and let them be part of yours. Nathan had stopped in that storm because he couldn't not stop. Because somewhere deep in his bones, he believed that people mattered more than convenience. That helping someone in trouble was worth the risk. That the world got better one choice at a time, one person at a time, one moment of compassion at a time. And Selena had stopped running because Nathan had shown her it was safe to trust someone. Because he'd proven that not everyone wanted something from her, that some people just wanted to help. And in learning to trust Nathan, she'd learned to trust herself again. They'd saved each other, not in some grand cinematic way, in small ways. And choosing to stay when leaving would have been easier. In building something together that neither could have built alone. In teaching each other that broken didn't mean worthless, that starting over didn't mean failure, and that sometimes the best things in life came from the moments when everything fell apart. Years later, when Lily brought her own partner home to meet Nathan and Selena, she told them the story of how her parents met, about the storm and the highway and the single dad who stopped for a stranger. "That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard," Lily's partner said. Lily laughed. "It's not romantic. It's just dad being dad. He stops for everyone." But Nathan caught Selena's eye across the table, and they both smiled. Because it was romantic, not in the fairy tale way, in the real way, in the way that mattered, the way that lasted. And every time it rained, Nathan and Selena would stand at the window and watch the storm together, remembering the night that changed everything. The night Nathan almost drove past. The night Selena almost died. The night that gave them both a second chance at life and love and family. And they'd hold hands and be grateful. Not for the storm itself, but for what came after. For the choice to stop. For the willingness to trust. For the courage to rebuild. For each other. Because at the end of the day, that was all any of them really had. Each other. And the choice, every single day, to keep stopping, keep helping, keep believing that people were worth the risk. Nathan had learned that lesson in a storm on a frozen highway, and he'd spent the rest of his life proving it was true.